Welcome everybody to a brand new Celluloid and Scotch. I am Dan, and as always, my co-host Carlito. And this week we are joined by Ken, Northernbrogre. You have a YouTube or some kind of show you're involved in, Geek Pants?
Yeah, Geek Pants Media. I'm a part of that with Chris Mercy and Chris Fedek. We basically just talk movies and comics and wrestling and video games and every geeky thing we've talked about since we were 3 years old, just on a camera now.
So I've been trying to get you on for a while.
Yeah.
I mentioned you briefly as being my enabler because you and I are horrible physical media collectors where like Dawn of the Discs now has become the bane of my existence.
You're welcome.
So Carlito and I are both physical media lovers, especially after Sony just decided to axe a shitload of digital movies that people bought, and they're like, "Oh, you don't own them anymore. Sorry."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was dabbling a little with digital for a bit there, and then all that stuff played. I was like, no.
I tried it too. I only still own one digital movie, and it just came with the physical copy I bought. It was Logan. So
I redeem all those digital.
Dude,
me too.
Constantly.
I mean, if you're there, I'm gonna. Or if I buy a U.S. copy and I can't claim it here in Canada, I'll sell it and make a couple of bucks.
You know what? I've given away like probably 80% of mine, and I should start selling them.
It's easy money
all the time. Digital code for a movie, you know.
Yeah,
I had people private messaging me on Instagram when I posted I bought the Rocky collection with the digital and the Rambo collection with the digital. They're like, "Oh, will you sell me the digitals?" I was like, "Nah, I redeemed them. Sorry." But I was like, I didn't know there was a market for this.
Yeah, there's a crazy market.
Just briefly, now that I'm on the subject of Rocky, and I know this is like totally has nothing to do with horror, I went to see Black Adam yesterday.
Yeah,
and that Creed 3 trailer had me intrigued because the dude who plays Kang in the Marvel movies, that dude is yoked.
Oh, he got massive.
Yeah, like
did you watch Lovecraft Country on HBO?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very good.
His size
there compared to now? Is it?
It's same dude.
It's the same. Yeah. What? Yeah, he got jacked.
Yeah, he's jacked.
No.
I don't know. You're starting to get like loose. No, it can't be true. You're not Kang.
You've got that Marvel.
It is. Wow.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by it, and I immediately got Rocky 3 vibes with the Clubber Lang. I'm like, man, if he comes out there and goes, "Woman, let me know when you're a real man. That's disrespectful. That's my woman." Yeah.
I kind of regret looking that up though, because I got the first thing on Google search was Jonathan Majors makes all girls thirsty or something like that.
Oh,
with his transformation for Creed 3. Like, oh, okay.
There's always going to be that one weird Google headline that you're going to be like, oh,
right at the top.
Florida man. I'm usually halftime expecting Dan to be. No, just kidding.
I will never be on a Florida man post. I don't own a machete. I don't own a samurai sword. I own none of that.
Oh, you just let your crocodiles out or nothing? You're good?
No
gators?
I don't walk them. I hate living in Florida. Although weirdly, like my theater by me, which usually is kind of low rent, has one of the strangest horror movies playing right now that is only playing in 550 theaters. Terrifier 2 randomly is playing at this theater, which apparently, according to one of the guys working at the theater, 2 people have puked during that movie.
Yeah. If it's anything like the first movie, you got to have a tough stomach. I don't know if casual horror fans would dig that very much.
Oh, maybe I should check it out and see if I can
give it a shot, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking out and puking apparently, and I was like, oh man, I gotta make time to see this.
Yeah, they always push those headlines to boost the movie sales.
Well, this was one of the actual people working in the theater who told me.
Damn.
So I was like, cool. I was like, so you had to clean up puke? He's like, well, I didn't. I had someone else do it. I was like, all right, well,
nice.
So the reason we're here is to talk about one of my favorite and most problematic franchises, and that would be Halloween. I think I fell in love with it. I might have been 5 years old watching it on the NBC Saturday Night Movie, the TV cut, of course, because we'll get into this a little later about things that had to happen for TV and what happened with Halloween 2. But I think the moment I fell in love is when Dr. Loomis makes that speech to Brackett. 15 years ago, I was told there was nothing left, no reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. And Donald Pleasance is just such an amazing performer in the role. I can't like undersell his importance to the series, and luckily he did not have to live with having to be in a movie with Busta Rhymes.
Yeah, it would have been horrible if that was his final film,
Oh, Freddie, I need you to do a spin kick. That's the only way to kill Michael. Curse of Michael Myers. The Curse of Michael Myers were the films after Halloween 2. Which timeline are we talking about? There's several different timelines.
Yeah, which Halloween 2 these days?
Yes. So one of the most amazing things about this movie is it was made for $320,000. Yeah. John Carpenter was paid $10,000 to direct and to do the score for this movie, leading to his bitterness later on that he didn't get paid what he was owed. But who knew this movie was going to have this insane second life after Roger Ebert came out and, championed it, of all people, who's damned horror movies in general. So in 1978, the worldwide box office for this movie was $70,274,000. 70 million. Domestic, 47 million. It's insane.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
But it had no opening weekend because it was a traveling roadshow movie going around, I think it was Milwaukee. And this was John Carpenter, like Irwin Yablans, who was one of the producers, was basically the idea man for it. Like, I want a movie, we're going to set it on Halloween. Babysitters. That's it. And it was going to be called The Babysitter Murders. And then they realized that no one had ever made a movie with Halloween in the title or as the title. So they did that. The mask was almost a clown mask. But Tommy Lee Wallace found a William Shatner mask, and the rest is history.
Well, technically, his first kill was a clown mask.
Yes, they did do that with a one-take shot with a steady cam, which most of the budget went to getting that cam, that because they liked what John Avin, oh God, I can't remember the director of the original Rocky, but he used it in the fight scenes. So they decided that they wanted to use this camera process for doing a lot of the steady shots. And the sound, everything else was incredible. I remember John Carpenter, one of the extras, saying they showed the movie to someone without the score to it. And they were like, this isn't scary. This is stupid. And the score in, which John Carpenter wrote himself as the, it had something like the Kentucky Orchestra, or wherever he grew up in Kentucky is what he called it, because he didn't want people knowing that he scored it at the time. Jamie Lee Curtis got there. She was hired. They wanted the girl from Lassie originally. What the pumpkins they used? They were traditional.
Going with that.
I didn't know about that. I knew about the leaves that they had to import and cut.
Yeah. I've heard something about this, because it wasn't actually filmed during pumpkin season.
And I do love that there's palm trees in the background, and there's certain parts where you see John Carpenter smoking and the smoke blowing into it.
Palm trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember any palm trees.
There are, like, if you look down the street when they're driving, you'll start seeing palm trees. Like, you got to be kind of like super observant.
Yeah.
the movie is one of those. I compared it to Jaws, kind of where you're waiting and waiting for the killer to finally do it. There's like a buildup. There is talking about Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends actually had Michael Myers in the movie more than the original Halloween by a minute more.
Mm-hmm.
But the work with shadows, the DP, fuck, I'm forgetting his name. Oh shit. The DP had a lot to do with the lighting, especially there's a scene in the closet where they use a little light with a dimmer to show Michael's mask in the background behind her. And that was mainly him doing. God, I can't believe. Oh my God, this dude.
Oh, they actually don't put the DP on the case. I pulled out my 4K.
Man, he worked on Jurassic Park too, which is that was one of the later movies he did. Sorry, while I Google this, this guy needs to get his credit. I can't. I've watched so many of these docs, and I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I don't fucking believe Dean Cundy. He was the DP, and he has done some really good movies. He's done some really bad movies, and he was very, very loyal to Carpenter.
Oh yeah,
super loyal. He turned down doing Poltergeist so that he could go do Halloween 2. But Jurassic Park, Apollo 13, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Escape from New York were some of his better known ones. Book of Boba Fett, he was a DP.
Oh wow, he's still working then.
Yeah, he's still working pretty steady. He was unfortunately the DP of the Garfield movie.
I mean, I guess you could call Book of Boba Fett working.
The Flintstones, Jurassic Park, Death Becomes Her, Hook.
Just kidding. I didn't think it was that bad. It actually had some good shots in it, too.
He was the DP for Back to the Future 3 and 2.
Oh.
And Back to the Future 1. Romancing the Stone, DC Cab. Halloween 3, The Thing. One of my favorite movies ever. The Fog, Rock and Roll High School, which PJ Souls was taken from.
Yeah.
So for me, I fell in love with this movie early on. There was just something about the character of Michael Myers because there was just nothing to him. He was just this thing hanging out in the background and expertly shot homages to Touch of Evil, Eyes Without a Face. And not getting enough credit is Deborah Hill, who actually wrote the first pass of the script and wrote much of the female dialogue. And while a lot of the Loomis dialogue was written by Carpenter, who had in college or high school did a field trip to a institution where he saw this kid who scared the shit out of him. And that's where he got, like, he had the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. That was all from his experience in this institution. 30,000 of it went to Donald Pleasance for 5 days of work.
He should have been paid 10 times more.
Probably. I imagine on the future movies he made a little bit more, but he didn't even want to do the movie. His daughter liked the music to Assault on Precinct 13. So that's why he did it. I got way too many factoids. I've watched too many documentaries about this movie. Also, this movie started John Carpenter's hatred of the whole movie industry, which we'll get into. Yeah, we'll get into a little later. So, Carlito, what was your experience with this movie?
I was trying to remember. So I'm pretty sure the first time I saw this, I was, I think, probably no older than 12 or 13. And I think it was the TV edited version, of course. But I just remember for the longest time, one of my best friends growing up, after we watched it, we were obsessed with the soundtrack and everything. And every Halloween, we we would either call each other or other friends or people, or like even just sometimes we'd random call people and just play that music and leave it on their voicemail on their answering machines and just let it play and then hang up. But I remember, I think it was like 5 years ago, he did that to me, and it was like the best thing ever. But it had been like 20 years. But it wasn't. I don't think so. Yeah, I think Nightmare on Elm Street was my first. Obviously, that was a scary experience. But I want to say it was probably one of the first 5 or 6 horror movies I saw. So it's always stuck with me. And again, yeah, like Donald Pleasance and then that whole speech. And there's just something about the empty, like almost just basically emotionless shape of Michael Myers that, there's just something there that kind of draws you in. So, yeah. And then I think pretty much every year as a kid, anyway, it'd either be Halloween movies and or all the Nightmare movies. So those are my 2 favorites.
Nice.
Ken?
I actually watched Halloween 2 first.
Oh,
really?
I was a late bloomer to becoming a horror fan because I was a scared shitless little boy growing up. Like Jaws gave me nightmares because my parents' house was over a well, and I lived in the basement, so I thought Jaws was going to come out of the well under the basement and eat me. Yeah.
Dude, if that happened to me and I was like the age of when The Ring came out, I would not live in that house. I'd sleep outside.
Yeah, man. So like, I mean, like even my mom's like Days of Our Lives episodes with Possessed Marlena would give me nightmares. So yeah, I was definitely a late bloomer to becoming a horror fan. I always respected it because my aunt loves horror. So I was home with pink eye. I had pink eye in both my eyes. I was like 14, and I'm just sitting around all day, all week long. And the TV cut of Halloween 2 was on. I decided to finally watch it because, like, both my grandparents and my parents owned video stores when I was growing up. So I would look at all these VHS covers and just, like, the art was awesome on them. Like, Michael Myers looked cool, but I knew if I put that tape in, I'd have nightmares for a month, right? So I'd admire the case art, really. And that's pretty much it. So after I finally watched number 2, I had nightmares, obviously. I eventually worked up to going to watch number 1, and number 1 blew me away. Just the score, the simplicity of it, but like, it put you in the mind of the killer, but the victim at the same time. It really stuck with me. So like, even though Michael Myers' expressionless mask and everything horrified me growing up, I was so intrigued by it. And the more and more I watched them, the more I began to respect the character and to respect all the stuff that comes behind the character and the characters as a whole. So now I watch Halloween, the first one, every single year. Like it's my go-to in October. That and Trick or Treat. I love Trick or Treat.
I still haven't seen that.
And Monster House. Monster House is my other go-to.
Really, Monster House?
Oh, I love Monster House, man.
I haven't seen Monster House or Trick or Treat, so I need to get on it. But
you know, man,
Monster House every day.
Yeah,
so much good horror and thriller stuff I haven't seen I think it was for about 10 years plus or so. I just kind of disowned horror franchises, and it was I think mid 2000s to mid 2010s sort of, but I got tired of the way it was going and just kind of all the same.
Well, the funny thing for me is like watching it as a kid, and then as I got to be a teen and a little bit older, becoming a bit of a cinephile and appreciating the art of cinema, going back and watching the original Halloween and going, man, $300,000 budget to pull off this, and this long one shot at the beginning with, I think it had 2 cuts when they switch the mask and take it off, and then the stabbing.
Right. Can we cover something that I noticed? When I got home tonight, I only had about an hour, but I watched about half of it. And so between the time that Michael notices that the light goes off in his sister's bedroom, and then
shortest sex ever,
and he goes to the stairs, that was 1 minute and 10 seconds, and he's putting on his shirt. So that guy's like a 2-pump jump. And like, yeah, that's hilarious. I never noticed that before because you don't really pay attention to that stuff. But I was trying to be like more critical eye this time.
And the Two Pump Chump is now actually a Christian author.
Oh wow!
In real life, awesome. I found that out. Did way too much research. Also, like one of the other things I love in this movie is when, and everybody loves the scene, but when he kills Bob and runs that knife through him through the wall and just leaves him, and there's that little just, I like this.
Yeah. Nick Castle was so great.
Oh, yeah. And his dad was a choreographer for movie dancing. So he wanted Michael to kind of glide as he walked. And not many of the people have really gotten it right since. I'd say James Jude Courtney might be the closest right now.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, Bob was the best death. I also do love Loomis fucking with the little kids. Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Dude, that was so great.
Yeah. I love the fact that he just has that little bit of joy in him, even though he's having a shitty day. And also, like, unseen when you watched it on TV originally because of the ratio that they had to put on. Michael's car, the Smithsgrove car, driving behind Loomis while he's talking to Brackett, like the whole time he's 3 steps away.
Dude, my best friend that I was telling you about with the phone calls and stuff, he used to love that part. Every time he would like pause it and he'd be like, "Look, he's so happy right now."
Yeah, because he's smiling.
Smile.
And this, I think, was the beginning of the Carpenter nihilistic endings, where, you know, when Loomis looks down and he's not shocked, it's like, fuck, I knew it. Yeah. And how they do the whole busting through every place where Michael's been, hearing the breathing. That's genius, because that builds your paranoia back up again. Like, he's out there, like, and I think there was just a subtle genius to that. There were like 4 people playing Michael during this movie, because Tommy Lee Wallace, who was one of the production assistants, and he also was like a set designer, which he said was 2 of the worst things you could ever have. He knew exactly where
hands getting the knife, and then
that was Deborah Hill.
Oh, okay. It kind of looked like, I'm not trying to be sexist, but it kind of looked like girly hands, but I thought,
it was
child, but yeah, it felt a little different than that kid's hands you see at the end. But.
So anytime they had to break something, they had Tommy Lee Wallace put on the mask and the suit, because he knew exactly where to break things, because they didn't have enough budget to redo stuff. All the actors and actresses had to bring their own clothes because they didn't have enough money in the budget for that.
Oh, I did not know that.
They all had to rake up the leaves after every shot, because those were the only leaves they had.
The clothes thing, that didn't include Michael's outfit, did it?
That I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt that. That was probably purpose.
Nick Castle was paid $25 a day. But he was there basically as an intern to learn how to shoot a movie, which he ended up making Last Starfighter.
Mm-hmm.
He directed that, and he also was famous for directing the Damon Wayans vehicle, Major Payne.
And Dennis the Menace.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I learned that later on in life. I'm like, holy shit, this is directed by Michael Myers.
So this movie ends. You have this open ending, which, according to John Carpenter, was the way it needed to end. For him, the story was over. He's done. It, on its second life in theaters, made a shitload of money. And they were like, Dino De Laurentiis with Universal ended up buying the rights to it. So Irwin Yablin's like, well, you got to make Halloween 2. You don't ever get sequels. And Carpenter's like, well, I want to make The Fog. He's like, great, let's make The Fog together, and you're going to write this. Irwin Yablans is on a plane with one of the guys from Avco Embassy, and they're like, yeah, we're doing The Fog with John Carpenter. His head kind of turns around and goes, the fuck you just say? So he comes back and sues John Carpenter. So during the litigation, Avco Embassy gets to keep The Fog, but John Carpenter has to begrudgingly write Halloween 2. Gets everyone back except for Nick Castle. They get Dick Warlock, greatest stunt name ever. to be the shape. John Carpenter can't figure out an ending to this, and he'd just seen Empire Strikes Back, and he was drunk on Budweiser, frustrated writing this. Tommy Lee Wallace already said, I don't like the script, I'm not going to direct this movie. Joe Dante was doing The Howling, couldn't do it. So they get this young up-and-comer, Rick Rosenthal, who happened to share the same agent as John Carpenter. Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing one of the worst wigs in this movie because she had cut all her hair off by then. And also in between, they had to...
Wait, this is the second one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They had to film a couple of scenes extra for Halloween 1 to be on TV to kind of make it a little bit longer for commercials. So there is a scene added with Dr. Loomis talking to a tribunal about him, and they're going to move him to from Smith's Grove to, I forget the name of the prison. And then a scene where Linda's being followed, and Jamie Lee Curtis is wearing a babushka on her head of a towel because she had cut her hair off and they had to keep continuity. And those two were the edit scenes. And also, like, Halloween 1 had very little nudity and very little blood, but it's still TV. And so John Carpenter hates it. He had to reshoot stuff here. Rick Rosenthal wanted to have it take place the same night. Other people wanted to take place years later, but her in college. So there's already fights, and this is the start of the never-ending fights.
So I got a question, Dan, because I don't seem to recall, 30 years ago almost. How did they do the scene with his sister since basically her tits are out there? Did they just cut that part out, or?
They basically cut away real fast.
Okay.
It was just like the stabbing, and then they end it there and don't show the further part.
Okay. Guess I never.
And then Halloween 2 has a TV version as well, which tiny bit different.
I'm not gonna lie, I do miss some of the old 80s, 90s edited for TV dialogue.
Yes,
because there were some funny shit that they used to do with that.
I think my favorite was Do the Right Thing watching it on TV because they say motherfuck so many times and they kept saying Mickey Ficky.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, and of course, like Friday the 13th, the way they had to edit those for TV because there was so much fucking TNA.
Mm-hmm.
So Halloween 2 starts right at the end, and there's already an editing issue right at the beginning because when Loomis shoots, two problems. In the original, fill out the backyard. This one, he's falling at the front yard, and it's audible. You can see him walking up a ramp and falling off, and Loomis squeezes off not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 shots. But leads to one of my favorite parts where he's out there and he's get the blood on his hands. And Tommy Lee Wallace is the voice coming and going, what's going on? I've been trick-or-treated to death. You don't know what death is. And it's just the beginning of Unhinged Loomis where he's running around. I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times.
I love it, dude. Me and my buddy used to quote Loomis back and forth all day to each other. So it's nice to see that someone else loved that dialogue as much as we did.
Oh, I loved it. And there's the part where like Brackett's and always like, get in the car now. And this movie was also the start of the the money starts going down. So opening weekend, $7 million, domestic box office 25, worldwide 25.
Yep.
So did they allow stuff like that in like China and stuff back then?
I don't even think China was a market back then.
They weren't.
Yeah, they didn't really follow international box office back then like they do now.
And just so basically Laurie is out cold half of this movie.
Yeah.
There is a drunk doctor who they're allowing to like do procedures, Dr. Mixter. There was also huge issues with audio during this movie because an airport was close to where they were filming, so like randomly planes would fly over. And they added scenes in for more blood and gore because Friday the 13th had been out at this point, so they're actually competing. There's a lot of dumb shit that happens in this. And then, God bless Ben Tramer and his blonde Michael Myers mask getting blown up.
A lot of that place in and around the hospital, right? I think.
Yeah.
Almost the whole movie, and then just a little bit of him getting there where he's just walking around town. They're like, the kid on the boombox, and it's like, is that the hospital? And he's just like, just happens to be a sign saying hospital this way.
As a kid, I never noticed, but like looking back now, especially, like were hospitals really that dark and like dimly lit? Because
sure as fuck wasn't a staff.
I know there's like 2 nurses on a whole freaking building. It's hilarious.
I also like that Dr. Loomis is a fucking expert in everything.
Everything.
They're breaking down the Myers house. It's like,
he said,
it's the tribe. One of their own has been killed. And then the school, he's like, Samhain, the festival of the dead. And he's pronouncing it wrong, but he keeps saying Samhain. He's pulling out a gun. He's like, what is it you people do? Fire a warning shot? Like, he's so fucking insane by this point.
Oh, dude, he is unhinged.
This movie isn't bad, given all the issues going on with it, and given the other Halloween 2s we've been given. It's fascinating. And then like Alan Howarth, who was brought in to help score this, decided to make it more synthy, and like he asked John Carpenter, he's like, hey, what do you think of this? John Carpenter goes, I don't give a fuck. He's like, just do what you feel like. I'm done with this. Also, John Carpenter famously is like, listen, they do these movies. I get a check. You know what I get to do with that check? Smoke weed and play Xbox.
Yep.
I admire the honesty.
Respect.
Yeah. Again, they planned on this movie being the end.
Mm-hmm.
What? And had one of the greatest stunt scenes that has not really been redone since. That burn scene was probably one of the longest in history. And it got so hot in the suit, the zippers actually burned Dick Warlock's skin.
Ooh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it also has one of the other Loomis moments I love in this. Go on, run! And Michael goes, but the bleeding eye scene, still, that is super memorable. I don't know how she shot him in the eyes twice and did not go out the other side, but that's, whatever. Like, I watched Indiana Jones get blown up in a fridge, so
oh yeah,
I will suspend disbelief.
Hey, fridges are tough, man.
I've also been called out on that I didn't have a problem in Indiana Jones Part 2 where they were in the raft that goes down the mountain. And I was like, that's more believable to me. I don't know why. So thoughts on this movie? Because, like, again, it's an odd movie.
I mean, I love it because I have that special connection to it. It's my first one, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I can watch this one just as much as the first, probably. And yeah, it's not as good, but it's still really fucking good compared to some of the sequels. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Carlito, what are your thoughts on this? I know you said you haven't watched them a lot lately.
I think looking back, I know I've seen the first 2 more than any of the others. Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Ken pretty much. That's my sentiments too, man. Like, it wasn't my first one, but I enjoy it just as much as the first one, even though it's not quite technically as good. But
the best kill for me was probably him putting the knife, I guess it was a knife, in the one nurse's back and then lifting her up and then her clogs falling on the ground.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's freaking great.
And then we start with like all the Laurie scenes with she's having like dreams like in the past of like seeing him in the insane asylum. I was like, whose fucking adopted parents are going to take her to see her insane brother? Again, we had to drive it home that she, had these weird repressed memories of this. It's one of those weird things with this movie, but we're going to get into one of my favorite movies, Halloween 3, where John Carpenter's like, I'm done with Michael Myers. You want another Halloween movie? We're going to do what I want. And Tommy Lee Wallace is like, great. This is going to be like a pod person movie. I love the Donald Sutherland Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie, which they 100% ripped the ending off of.
Mm-hmm.
This movie did $6 million opening weekend and did $14 million combined worldwide. No Michael Myers. They learned a lesson here. But God bless Tom Atkins and being the terrible fucking father that he is in this movie.
Absolutely.
Abandons his kids, runs off with this 20-something-year-old. The weird mask-making mage from Ireland who's killing people and wants to kill kids. One of the most gruesome kills from a TV signal through a mask. Which, I mean, honestly, that is like a great scene in this movie with that kid's head splitting apart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This movie was gang fucked by reviewers because of being cruel to children.
Maybe don't watch a horror movie.
I mean, yeah. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's what I like.
Watch a comedy.
Tom Atkins has a line in this movie that I love more than anything else. They're like, "Where do you want to sleep, doctor?" I can't even. Daniel, I can't even remember where do you want to sleep, doctor? Well, that's a stupid question, Miss Grimbridge. Where do you think I want to sleep? And then it goes to him bare ass sucking on her titty.
Hell yeah.
And then he gets up after sex and goes around. He has to go get a tall boy.
I mean, that's just typical, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
And this got filmed in, I think, Santa Clarita. The special effects in this movie are pretty atrocious, but it's amusing. It just didn't need to be called Halloween.
What was the budget on that one?
I agree.
Oh, the budget.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably would have been more
2.5.
More successful.
Million?
Yeah.
What was Halloween 2's budget?
Oh.
2.5.
2.5
on the dot.
Yeah. So that was Universal doing both of these, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, a little bit more budget there.
So they probably had some leftover cash after that one.
So, if this had been called just Season of the Witch, it would have been treated differently. I know, Ebert went after this movie, not as badly as he did for Friday the 13th, where he gave out Mrs. Voorhees' home address for the real-life actress on air.
Jesus.
To shame her for being in that movie.
That's really weird.
That's a weird one, yeah.
So Tom Atkins has been in some of my favorite bad movies. He was in Creepshow Part 1, which he had the weird interaction with Stephen King, where Stephen King came up to him, and it was right after he slapped his son, who ended up being Joe Hill.
Huh.
And he goes, and so Tom Atkins in Search of Darkness, I think it's Part 1 or 2 of that documentary, he goes, Stephen King comes up to me and is like, I thought he was coming up to me to yell at me for smacking his kid too hard. And then he goes, hey, what was it like kissing Jamie Lee Curtis in The Fog? That's what he came over and asked him. He was in Escape from New York. He was in The Fog.
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps, which fucking amazing.
I love that one.
He plays a drunk cop like no one's business, and a drunk doctor. He's always a drunk, and I love him for that. And he's a womanizer constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, everybody wants to fuck Tom Atkins. I don't know why. The nurses, it's all the women love him, and all the guys want to be him. He is one step away from being a Lethal Weapon movie, which I personally I would have loved. Sub him out for Gary Busey.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, 100% Tommy Lee Wallace is like, I stole the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Which I want to know which TV companies he called that was able to get through. You gotta stop. You can't show it. Don't show it. It's on one more channel. You gotta turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. But for anybody who hasn't watched the Donald Sutherland Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Leonard Nimoy, fucking fantastic movie.
Holy crap, Tom Atkins is still alive.
Oh yeah,
dude. I remember when I was when Lethal Weapon came out, and I thought, man, this guy's old. But of course, I was just a kid. But it's hilarious.
So I would have loved like an old age Michael Myers, but it'd be Gary Busey and have him in the insane asylum.
There might have been some theatrics with that version, but
it would have been interesting. He would have nonstop talk, like just mumbled and be like, man, Michael sounds like Charles Manson now. What the fuck happened? This movie's not as bad as it was portrayed to be. I understand that because Michael wasn't in it, and Universal and everybody involved with the movie didn't realize that Michael was actually the star. Which it's hard to understand why they didn't know that, but I guess
it's a little in hindsight, it's a little weird.
But I don't think the media was around back then because Fangoria might have just been starting right around 82.
So funny story. I didn't see Season of the Witch until like the late 2000s, I think. The late aughts in the 2000s. So.
It's probably a good time to see it because this movie weirdly found like a second life as like a cult classic, which I mean that happens, especially a lot of Carpenter's movies find second life later on. Weirdly, I see like Vampires weirdly has this new second life as a cult classic. I fucking hate that movie.
Oh, dude, I fucking love him. Yeah, but then I also love theater, so don't take my word for anything.
I think 2013 was actually when I first saw it, so not that long ago, 9 years ago.
But it literally took almost 25 years for people to go back and be like, you know what, this isn't that bad.
People always told me just skip that one. Michael Myers ain't in it, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, that's all I ever heard too.
So
yeah, if you just turn off the fact that it's a Halloween movie and watch it, you'll enjoy it. But
and then John Schnepp was like saying that everybody should watch it, so I was like, all right, check it out.
So it underperformed. Tommy Lee Wallace eventually moved on to do It, the TV movie, and he had success with that. Halloween 3 kind of just it had to be rewritten, I think 7 times, and Tommy Lee Wallace, it was rewritten so many times that he got writing credit on it.
Nice.
Because Nigel Neal, who originally wrote it, like they changed it so much he took his name off of it because it wasn't the movie he originally pitched. And this will continue later on. We get to Halloween 4. Mustafa Akkad gets the rights back, and he's basically going, we need Michael Myers. I don't know how the fuck we bring him back, but we bring him back. So there's a writer's strike about to happen. So they give it to Alan B. McElroy. He's given a treatment, and they basically said, you have a week to make this a script before the writer's strike. He managed to get it done in 7 days. And they basically used what he wrote, and that became the movie. By this point, Jamie Lee Curtis's career in cinema had become very, very big, and she did not want to go back. And so they decided they were going to kill her off. She dies in a car accident. So they go with a young actress. Weirdly, the girl who played Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Melissa Joan Hart, had gone for the role. And Danielle Harris, who we ended up getting, who I thought was a terrific child actress in this movie. Michael has been hospitalized all this time. Dr. Loomis has like a boiled egg on his face. I think this is when I got back into horror in this franchise big time because I was just reading Fangoria and the lead up to it, and there was all these trailers like Michael's back. And this movie actually gave me nightmares for a while, which is weird because the mask is terrible. Like, it's just kind of looks waxy. Like, it just doesn't look like the original mask. But of course, he goes and steals it from a drugstore, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Loomis is fucking unhinged. He's drinking with like this random priest in a truck. But it's a back to basics movie, and Akkad gets drunk off success of this because everybody was just jonesing for Michael to come back. And there's one of the goriest scenes in the ambulance where he like pokes his thumb through a guy's head, and it has a guy at the beginning who like they're in the elevator telling the whole story of Halloween. He's like, I'll be glad to see this guy gone. Halloween, 10 years ago. You know, goes after his sister, and he's just telling the whole story. He reminded me of the guy who was in Shopping Mall and who was in The Howling selling the silver bullets.
Yeah.
Can't remember the actor, but he's got that same vibe. Return to Michael Myers. No opening weekend numbers, weirdly. Production budget was $5 million. Domestic box office and worldwide $17 million. But again, the series had kind of hit a wall at that point, and they wanted Michael back, so it did a good job. It also has an ending that pissed a lot of people off, which I kind of,
but I loved it. I thought it was so cool to see such a different take.
As a kid, I was just kind of like, all right, like this little girl's now going to be the killer because it's like he's passed the evil along.
Mm-hmm.
Which we're gonna see this later. It comes back in a way.
Comes back.
I'd say probably in my like rankings, Halloween 4 is definitely like top 4.
I'd agree with that. And yeah, for some reason when I was younger, like the fourth one, honestly, it was almost scarier than the second one. So I won't say the original because that one's the best, but
4 is very scary.
Just something about it. I don't know what it was, but
it was a back to basics, I think, a little bit, except there was just more Michael. He wasn't in the background. He was just like, fuck it, I'm out here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the ultimate warrior, throwing guys into electrical things. Like he's crushing people's faces.
Embrace
he ran a shotgun through a girl's chest.
And then that's so I'm sorry, I was reading an article, so I apologize if you talked about it, but that's the one where Loomis is kind of traipsing across the countryside or whatever, sort of.
Yes, with the girls who were like,
right,
the cheerleaders who were like, "Come on, old man," and then they like blow him out in the dust, and then he has this conversation with this preacher who picks him up. And he goes, "You're hunting, aren't you?
Yeah.
Seen evil a time or two."
Was the guy blind though? Was he a blind?
I don't think he was blind, but he was just drunk and kind of.
Oh, never mind. I'm getting They Live in this confused with the blind.
Listen, I could talk about They Live for a while.
Oh, I could talk about that. That was a movie way ahead of its time, and it's still relevant.
Oh,
but anyway,
so Return to Michael Myers, like Loomis gets chucked through windows, like he gets kayfabed bad, like he just every time he shows up, something bad happens to him.
Gore, we'll get into it, I'm sure, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
So Ken and I already know we're going to disagree with Carlito heavily.
Are you fucking kidding me? God,
private conversations.
Not at all, man. He's checking out after Halloween Kill. Fuck you all about
my cat needs me after.
So one of the great Loomis moments is at a certain scene during this, Jamie comes over and touches Michael's arm, and we see the thorn tattoo, which I have a tattoo of, which randomly just shows up, and she kind of like, you don't know what's going on, but like Michael weirdly rises up and they just start hitting him with shotguns and he falls down a well. Could have been the same one in your yard. I don't know. Oh, so at the end, her mom is, getting a bath ready. And you see the clown mask again going in and grabbing some scissors. And then... and she comes down covered in blood in the clown costume. And Loomis has his gun drawn. He's like, no! No! As only Donald Pleasance can do, where you're like, that's acceptable from him. And it ends on that, and it just goes into the music, and you're just, well, fuck. Where's this going? And it's a great ending, in my opinion. Also, this movie had one of the great openings of just showing Midwestern Halloween decorations and just...
Yep.
And I really like that. Like, even the font changed just a little bit, but it was like suburban Gothic. And just that little bit of cinematography, and that was Dwight H. Little.
Nice.
Who did that.
So literally some little photography. Sorry,
So,
I had a couple bourbons tonight.
They were asked to come back and do part 5. They said, no, we told our story. We're done. We're not coming back. And that leads us to one of the weirdest fucked up Halloween movies, and that is part 5 that ended up being done by a Frenchman named Dominique Othenin-Girard, who walked in, took the script they had, and threw it in the garbage and said, this is not the movie we're doing. And we had some weird shit in here. The Myers house all of a sudden becomes this weird Gothic mansion that's way bigger than it ever should have ever been. Jamie is mute. Apparently they brought the most annoying character in the entire franchise, Tina, into this. They've got fucked up Fonzie in here, like a character named Spit. Everything about this movie is bad. Even the mask. Somehow, between him going down a raging river, his mask turns from the one into this other one where they can't figure out how to tuck the fucking mask neck in. It drives me nuts. Some fucking vagrant takes him in. He lays down and sleeps for a year. Dude never fucking bothers about it. He wakes up, kills the dude. Jamie's psychic, apparently. And Tina's the worst. Tina's the worst fucking character in the series. They kill off Rachel from part 4 within the first 15 minutes.
Worst character in the series.
Made me mad.
Jamie's mute, and she's like, there's literally a scene where she's trying to talk with another stutterer trying to alliterate what she's saying to Loomis. Big woman, big cookie, cookie woman.
Okay.
It's literally, in my opinion, one of the worst.
Oh, easily one of the worst.
And this was like
contenders in the most recent Halloween.
So there's a funny story. So the stuntman who's playing Michael Myers in this one, and he's done a lot of extras and footage, and he did the Horror's Hallowed Grounds with Sean Clark. You can find those on YouTube. His name's Don Shanks. And he talked about, at a certain point, they had a board that he's supposed to get hit with that had a foam end on it so he didn't get hurt. Apparently, Donald Pleasance liked to drink a lot of bourbon.
What?
During it. And he hit him with the wrong end and broke his nose. And Danielle Harris talks about it. She's like, yeah, I used to smell this weird odor on him. I later found out it was bourbon.
Weird odor.
But Donald Pleasance also said that she was the star of the movie and gave her his star trailer. So
he sounds like a good
guy. He also was wearing a snapback hat during certain scenes, and they forgot to take it out, and there were night shoots and they forgot. So there's a lot of footage they couldn't use.
Question: how many stuntmen have played Michael Myers? You ought to know this since you're a huge Halloween fan.
Pretty much all. There's been at least James Jude Courtney 3 times. He's a stuntman. Total of like 10.
Damn, that's crazy.
Did I get it?
I don't know the answer.
No, I thought you. I thought you would know.
Did I win?
Did I win? Dan, you always win. You won.
Nah.
Won another drink.
So,
Cheers.
this is probably my least favorite of the movies. It's like the 4K release had the extra scene with Dr. Death where it was like a voodoo guy doing stuff over him.
Dear Lord.
And they ended up axing that. Like, they literally started shooting this 4 months after Michael Myers, The Return of Michael Myers came out. Also, funny fact, the 3 Thorn trilogy movies also have the same titles as Pink Panther movies. Return, Revenge, and Curse.
Really?
Yes.
What was the budget on this one? Did you say already?
No, I didn't. $6 million.
What?
Really? Holy crap.
It did $5 million opening weekend and $11 million total.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was just not good. Also, like, this director decided to inject shit into this movie and had no explanation of. So the Man in Black shows up. Not Johnny Cash, everybody, in case you're wondering. Not Travis Tritt either.
Johnny Cash.
So this guy shows up with these silver tip boots, kicks a dog as he shows up. He's hanging around at the Myers house. Shows up at the end. The director had no fucking answer for what this dude is. No answer for what the tattoo was. Nothing. He's like, leave it for the next guy.
Just a drifter.
He just decided that the Man in Black was a soul brother to Michael Myers. He also said that he was born under the sign of Thorn too, so he understood Myers. Like, this dude was a fucking asshole. He also accused Rob Zombie of stealing his ideas. So the end happens. They catch Michael Myers. They leave his mask on. He's in a net. Donald Pleasance apparently has a stroke during it or something. He looks like he dies on top of him. Like, Ahab catching his whale or, Van Helsing. So he's in there. He's like, well, he's going to rot in jail forever. Daniel Harris, Jamie's taken out to the car. And then you hear gunfire. Lone gunman's up in there like the Hitcher. Fucking destroys the whole police station and frees Michael Myers. And they have little Jamie walk in and go, no. Not the same when you don't have Donald Pleasance saying it. You have this 11-year-old girl screaming it. And then takes us to the most divisive behind-the-scenes movie ever made. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
I don't even know if I remember this one.
So it took 6 years for them to get this off the ground. $5 million budget, made $7 million opening weekend.
Went down $1 million. Not bad.
$15 million total. Originally, this was supposed to be the first movie with Paul Rudd, aka Paul Stephen Rudd, in the credits. But the development hell behind the scenes pushed it back, so Clueless came out before this. And he's playing like Norman Bates in this. Only movie I've ever seen that has a producer's cut, because the Weinsteins and the Akkads starting to get into a fight about what the cut should be. This poor guy who's a huge Halloween fan, Daniel Farrens, who actually directed the Crystal Lake Memories and the Nightmare on Elm Street documentaries that are 5 hours long each, wrote this movie, and there was 9 or 10 revisions. He eventually kind of started doing the Chaos Comics Halloween series and kind of going with his ideas in that, which it's actually kind of phenomenal. So that series, it spawned off of H2O, that after the end of H2O, Laurie is infected by Michael Myers after beheading him. and she's going after Tommy, who has Loomis's notes. And at the very last issue, they unmask her, and they see it's Lori missing an eye, and she's like raving mad. I did some videos, and you can find my playlist going over each issue. So Curse of Michael Myers is a fucking... So this starts the Weinstein shit of... There was the girl playing... oh God, I can't remember the character. It's the Strode. It's the daughter who's... the daughter of the asshole looks like Dan Connor from Roseanne. God, I can't remember the name of the... Marianne Higgins, the actress, I can't remember the name of her character. I think it was Kara Strode. But when she was doing her tryout, Harvey Weinstein said that her chin was too big, too narrow, and she was too skinny, so he didn't want to have her in there. So already, like, the Weinstein shit was starting back then. This is just a weird... Howard Stern was supposed to be in this movie, but he ended up doing private parts instead. He was going to play the Barry part.
Weird.
Like, the whole movie is just weird. And Daniel Farron's... So the original Halloween novelization had this whole druid Celtic thing mixed in with it. It also weirdly has Michael talking about his erection constantly when he's going to kill people. Yeah, he talks about his raging member as he's going to kill Annie. Like, it was like, I've got the novelization, I got the ebook of it I found, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on with this dude? Like, he's literally like, oh, I have such a... My raging member down there is hurting me. I gotta kill somebody. But it also said he had, like, pale fish white face with fangs. Like, filed down fangs when the mask comes off.
Dude, did you see what percent this got on Rotten Tomatoes?
No, I did
not.
not.
The audience score, too. Holy shit. This has got to be the lowest rated Halloween movie.
Oh, no. It gets worse. Because I guarantee my number one bad movie of this series is probably, like, right there.
9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty damn low.
That's like, I mean,
Paul Rudd was embarrassed by this movie for a long time.
Rightfully so.
There is a YouTuber, Drum Dums, who actually got me started doing YouTube. He did a Blue Myers cut where he cut the producers and the theatrical cut into one, taking the best parts of both. It shouldn't have to have a cut made of two different movies to make it better, but, like, it's not bad.
I should do that with the Batman and Robin and actually make it a good movie. That's a good idea.
There's no way to make Batman and Robin a better movie.
I just meant, like, to make the Batman better. That's all.
They'll make it better to one person.
Just kidding. I hope Ryan's...
No, Ryan's never going to fucking watch this.
Too bad.
So, Curse of Michael Myers was basically a disappointment all across. And took... So, we were at a point where the Halloween movies were going to be direct-to-video. It was literally that bad. Jamie Lee Curtis comes out of nowhere and goes, I want to do something for the fans. I'm coming back. And they're like, wait, what? Yeah. I want Kevin Williamson, who just did Scream, to write it, and John Carpenter to direct it. Pause. John Carpenter's like, cool, pay me $10 million. And they were like, go fuck yourself. And he goes, pay me. So Kevin Williamson gets involved after Scream. Scream revitalized the slashers across the board, as we saw by just the amount of slashers that came after that, even the really horrible ones like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
You know, for a knockoff, kind of, that's not, the first one wasn't that bad. It was cheesy, but...
And it's even funnier because Kevin Williamson also wrote that, so he knocked himself off.
So, honestly, Yeah. So when did Scream come out? Was it 94?
96?
96.
Okay.
Which again, like Freddy was dead by that point. Jason was dead-ish.
Mike basically dead after that. So,
Michael was not doing well. So H2O comes out, and again, it's another back to basics. It's another reboot. All these other movies never happened, although at one point, and you'll see it in the opening credits, they show some bloody scissors. So there was going to be an original version of this where they see a news article about Jamie being killed, and Laurie starts crying because it's the girl she abandoned. Which would have been interesting because it would have validated the others while still having a new timeline.
Yep.
Yes, Michael was not going well. The whole Michael industry was not going well. Michael Scott wasn't doing well because he wasn't on air yet.
Well, Michael Jordan was doing pretty good.
Okay, yes.
There you go.
He was on comeback number 1.
One Michael out there.
So H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis comes back and she was like, I want to end this. And they're like, great. Josh Hartnett's playing her son, who's overacting the shit out of everything in this movie. Michelle Williams is in this. There was a script where the one kid who was with the girl from Walker, Texas Ranger, Charlie, was going to be a Michael wannabe killer. And Michael ends up coming back for real and killing him. So there was a lot of different scripts. I feel like that was probably the Kevin Williamson script on that one, because that seems like a very Kevin Williamson kind of thing with the whole plot twist. Jamie Lee Curtis coming back was a big deal. They got financing, then got it away from the direct-to-home video. And this was after Fish Called Wanda and True Lies, which, listen, that was a huge fucking deal.
Do you have all the steel books, Dan?
No.
You got to get them all. You got to get them all.
Listen, this isn't Pokemon. Like, there's steel books I can't get.
No, there's no excuses. You can buy UK versions because 4K, it doesn't matter. So
I don't like doing that because I don't like paying the exchange rate.
Oh man.
I almost bought the Night of the Living Dead one, but like I just didn't want to pay the exchange rate.
Is the pound less than $1 now? I think
it doesn't matter to import it, and the shipping actually costs more than the fucking disc does.
Yeah, and then you get in, it looks like someone jumped on it.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So H2O also, we find out one, this movie, they couldn't get the fucking mask right. There's 4 different masks used in this, including the incredibly bad digital version.
I thought I
remember. See Michael's eyes. He gets kicked in the balls.
Yeah.
And he has like a weird stare. And there's a guy called the Cinema Snob who, when they did that, he frees that and he goes, I wish you would, when she kicks him. Jamie Lee Curtis, after this, got incredibly angry with them because she thought she had... And when I saw this in the theaters, the crowd got up and cheered when Michael gets beheaded.
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
Like, it was a big deal. It was originally going to be called The Revenge of Laurie Strode at one point. But the end, like, everybody in the theater was like... And then 2 years later...
Oh...
The outrage.
So the Accods have a contract, and I guess no one read it, saying you can't kill Michael Myers.
Nice.
It has to be ambiguous. There has to be an out.
Well, there
so
was.
Halloween Resurrection comes out.
The ambulance.
And I have to go for this because they did some... Them and Dimension did some surveying, and they realized that African-American audiences love the Halloween movies. So they needed to make sure they had someone to represent the African-American community. So we had
LL Cool J.
LL Cool J in the first one, which he was okay.
All right. I like.
Like
I like
except
LL
for
Cool
his
J.
except for him talking about his romance novel.
Well, I mean,
He is the world's worst security guard, though.
Yes.
yeah.
We go into Resurrection, and it's live streaming. There is a kid who thinks he's in a romance with a girl who's way outside of his league. Deckard, because you got to name yourself after the hero who may not be a replicant. We don't know yet. They've not been clear about that, even in 2049.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, Alexa.
Didn't get it either.
He doesn't even know.
Her either.
So
Is he a replicant?
we have this live streaming from the Myers house. It's the Big Brother Osborne's generation, where they reference the Osbornes were even bigger. The kid from American Pie is in this. Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica is in this. The guy from Save the Last Dance is in this. A younger version of Booger from Revenge of the Nerds is in this. And Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks. Busta Rhymes is a kung fu movie fan who apparently, by watching it by osmosis, learned how to do kung fu. And I remember watching this going, man, thank God Donald Pleasance is dead. Because I literally can't imagine him at this going, Busta, hit him with the roundhouse now.
Oh, man.
Michael, everybody's seeing you in 4K.
He kicked him 6 times.
That whole sequence was pure evil, if you ask me.
So there's the Michael on Michael crime where he's like, get your ass to the back. You're fucking up the whole shit.
Yeah.
He's poking him in the chest, and Michael's just kind of sitting there taking. So, like, without Busta Rhymes in this movie, I hate to say it, this movie would have been even worse. And it's fucking hard to say that. Because we would have missed out on such dialogue of trick or treat, motherfucker. You like some chicken fried, motherfucker. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
You might have a slight point there, maybe. I don't know.
Honestly, this movie would have been fucking horrendous without him in here. It took me a while to realize this. I'm entertained by him in an ironic way. Because there's that part where he's like, ooh, Wap Chun-Li, out back. He's like, ooh, Sarah. He's slicking his hair back. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
This is a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
10%.
1% better.
Yeah.
not my least favorite.
It's
It
also
might-
listed under holiday horrors.
Oh. It did have one of the craziest pull quotes on the back of it, like 10 out of 10 by the Association of the Science Academy. There was like weird pull quotes on this movie. I just remember like laughing at. So, to put it lightly, the movie's in a bad place. Jamie Lee Curtis came back to do this begrudgingly, and it shows in her performance.
Yeah.
She's in the first 10 minutes of it.
He literally says, if
And-
you want me back, you got to kill me off like right away.
Yeah, they paid her a pretty good amount of money, which she accepted none of the money and gave it to charity. That's how much she felt about this movie. She's been pretty vocal about it.
I don't remember her death in that movie. God, I haven't seen that one for.
She
probably-
kisses him and then falls.
To the ground.
Yes. Yet she's been in an insane asylum but set traps.
Oh my God.
And Michael doesn't know how to use doors. So he's like headbutting his way through fucking doors. There is a guy who's like a serial killer aficionado wearing a clown mask who can name off like John Wayne Gacy and all this other shit at the beginning. It's not good. And oh, by the way, I have to bring back about H2O. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the extent of it. Like he dies real early.
He gets a
But he's
skate
dressed
on.
as a hockey player named Jason. That's the extent of it. So this movie basically kills the franchise.
Yeah.
It got to the point where the Accods were like on HalloweenMovies.com had a survey of like, what would you like to see in the next movie?
Nothing.
Well, 5 years later, we get the bearded one, who apparently didn't even want to do this movie, but he did it, and that's Rob Zombie. So I will go on record saying that I think Rob Zombie can be a very talented filmmaker. Don't let him write the fucking movie.
I agree. He's not a good writer, but he's a good director.
Yeah. He seems to just want shock value and do fuck yous to all his critics. He needs a writer who he can't fuck with. But I think there's a good movie in him, like Devil's Rejects. Probably the best of his movies.
Yeah. I agree.
But he broke the cardinal sin of trying to explain why Michael is like he is by doing the white trash family, putting his wife in it. Which, listen, I understand it's cute that he wants to have his wife and everything. She's not a good actress.
No.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I mean, it's not the same, but kind of sort of. Like, I think the thing they're almost ruining the Joker with now is trying to explain the mystery. Just let it be a mystery, you know?
Yeah.
So I love Alan Moore in The Killing Joke has this scene talking about the Joker where he's like, I prefer my origin to be multiple choice.
Yeah, I like that. If they keep it like that, then that's
and
fine.
I think that's the great part. There could be many origins and none of them's right. But
even
the whole
movie Joker was kind of, you know, it's like it could be true, but it's also unreliable narrator again. So
William Forsythe is so fucking disgusting in this movie as the stepdad Ronnie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at them floppy ass tits and working on them. Call him Michelle. Looks like a faggot to me. I'm just like, what the fuck? What am I watching? Like literally the first 20 minutes, I'm just like, ew, like fuck, I paid to see this. What the fuck?
I was so excited to see it when it came out, and then oh wow, it was...
So Tyler Mane is a very imposing person to have as Myers.
I mean the cast outside of Rob's relatives is pretty great.
Malcolm McDowell was a decent person to have as Loomis.
Yeah, that was a decent choice. I think that was probably the best choice.
He purposely didn't watch Donald Pleasance because he wanted to develop his own character. So I can appreciate that. Danny Trejo was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. Like, again, I think Rob has a good movie in him. I really do. He just can't get out of his own way.
Yeah.
So if he made a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I have a feeling that's his wheelhouse. It's 100% his wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, it's basically all its movies just blended together.
Yeah.
So when I bought the Blu-ray collection, first thing I did was took out the 2 Rob Zombie Halloween movies and put them up on eBay. So that tells you what I think of those versions.
Wait, you bought the Blu-ray collection and sold off pieces of it? You know it's like a $600 collection right now, right?
It wasn't that at the time. And I hated those Rob Zombie movies with a passion, so I sold them off.
So the theatrical version
Is better.
was actually more tolerable than the director's cut, and for some reason the theatrical is very hard to get now.
That's
But
weird.
that rape scene fucking did not need to be in there.
No, it's disturbing at times. Like not even scary, just like watching young Michael beat a kid to death for like 3 minutes disturbed the hell out of me.
And of course he's torturing animals and like his whole reason for snapping in the end is because he didn't get fucking trick-or-treat candy.
Right.
Like it just, although I laughed my ass off seeing the little kid with the giant fucking Michael Myers mask on walking around.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see the younger version of Jenny from Forrest Gump tits out, getting like killed for way too long.
Mhm.
It took all the subtlety of the original and just fucking ruined it.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to explain it. I think it's even better where he's a middle class kid, nothing wrong with the family, that just one day snaps.
He's just born pure evil.
Yeah.
To it.
And then, you know, everybody's got a fucking ponytail. You know, fucking Joe Grizzly talking about he got to shit out some fucking enchiladas.
I forgot all of this. Like, I forgot it all. This is,
Happy to remind you.
thanks.
I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
I'll be honest, I even forgot that Sherry Moon or whatever was in it, but it figures because, I mean, she's got to be in everything.
Yeah, she's even in the sequel when her character's dead.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That sequel.
Dan's having an aneurysm.
So there
Yeah,
are parts of this. There are parts of this movie. I thought Scout Taylor Compton wasn't a bad casting.
I really
as
like
Lori.
Oh, yeah.
Did I need to see Danielle Harris's tits out, fucking getting murdered? No.
Mhm.
Wait,
That
Daniel
was
Harris?
weird, especially after seeing her as a little child.
Yeah.
Remember?
I will say the one casting I loved was Brad Dourif
Absolutely.
as Brackett.
And he acted his ass off. Holy.
Yes, he was great in this, but just there was something just.
Yeah, I probably would have liked it more if it wasn't Michael Myers.
Probably, he knew what he was getting into, and I think there's a part of him that wanted to just say fuck you to everybody who had problems with his other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Eli Roth is kind of the same way, where it's like, oh, you didn't like this? Well, watch this.
Yeah. What didn't you like? Let me just double that up for you. Yeah.
Where, like,
Yeah, maybe like that.
I will say Green Inferno wasn't terrible. Although I feel like his underrated movie was Knock Knock.
I've never seen Knock Knock.
Keanu Reeves is in it, and these two girls show up, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Like, let's fuck. One of them's Eli Roth's wife, and the other one is Anna de Armas, who ended up becoming Joy in 2049, and she's in the Blonde movie. This one was a $15 million budget. $26 million opening weekend, 77 total.
Yeah.
Exotica horror. I've never heard of Exotica horror. I've heard of the kink convention called Exotica, but I've not. So the end happens, and again, like the end of the movie, I was like, well, fuck, that's it. It's over. It has a very, in my opinion, definitive ending with her just squeezing rounds into a blood splattering in her face, her screaming.
Yep.
But we get Halloween 2 where he was like, I'm not doing it. And they're like, well, we're going to get this person. He's like, well, I guess I'm fucking doing it. Bringing my wife back. There's going to be a shitload of white horses. Guess what? I'm going to have Lois Lane from the original Superman movies in here.
Yeah.
Which I still haven't quite figured out this movie. Like, I don't know the point of it. I just know he brought his wife back, and then they had to recast Dave Fairsh because he got too big, so they had to have another little kid.
Explain the white horse beginning.
Yeah. They do explain it. It felt like a reason to bring his wife back.
Yeah. Oh, that was the only reason for it.
And then it had his buddies in who were in a band, and the longest fucking party scene I've seen in a movie. And then Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati's in this, playing the hippie, running the record store. Like, I'm trying not to like fuck this movie, but like even Loomis is an asshole in this. Like he's just like yelling to smack a woman in the face.
It's such a weird movie, but for some reason, I feel like if it wasn't Halloween, I'd like it more.
If it was a psychological thriller that had nothing to do with Michael Myers,
because that's a movie on its own without all the Michael Myers aspects. It's kind of, it probably would be one of Rob's best movies.
Brad Dourif does have one of the scenes that he's overacting the shit out of, like, no. It sounded like Michael Scott. At one point.
Raging Michael Scott,
yeah, like a little bit. Like I watched it with a pretty open mind. I've watched it a couple of times since. I was like, it's not for me. I've watched both versions of it, and there's two different endings, and then Michael talking, just saying, die.
Yeah, Michael talking angered me greatly.
And then like the stripper scene where it's just unnecessary violence against women. Like I don't know. Like, yeah, I know the dude used to have your mom stripping there, kinda. Like she didn't get nude because it was your wife and you didn't want to show her toddies. This probably did more damage to the franchise than like a lot of the other movies. And again, this isn't against Rob Zombie. I really think if he's not writing a movie, there is a very, very good movie in him, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I just feel like he wasn't a Halloween fan. He was the wrong guy to do a Halloween movie. Like you said,
he has a good eye for cinema. Like there are things I like. Even House of a Thousand Corpses, which I didn't think was as good as Devil's Rejects, there's a visual style to it that I liked, and he has all his people he brings with him. Every director has their people they bring with them. His just happened to be like all kind of white trashy.
Yeah.
So this is the second Halloween 2.
Yeah, and this one's on the bottom of the barrel. The first one's near the top. This one's right at the bottom.
So years go by, 9 years to be exact. And I will say, when I saw the news that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, the team who brought us Your Highness, we're going to be doing the new Halloween movie, I was not thrilled.
I was intrigued by it because I knew Danny McBride was an actual big horror fan. David Gordon Green surprised me.
But then the news came out.
Your Highness, he was doing like hardcore dramas and stuff. So like,
then Jamie Lee Curtis, they got her to come back. Then it was like Nick Castle's coming back, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Nick Castle's
John Carpenter coming. That was a huge one.
Yeah, John Carpenter to score it.
Well, if he agreed to put his name on it, it's got to be kind of good.
So in between this, there was a script going around that almost got made called Halloween Returns. That was going to take place after Halloween 1. They were going to do away with part 2. And it was going to have to do with Russellville, where Michael got out of Haddonfield and was going to Russellville. And it was being done by the team of that did the Collector series.
Okay, yep.
Which, if you haven't watched, it's a fantastic series.
Yep.
Two movies. The second movie has one of the best endings in horror that I've ever seen. Or one of. Like, it's satisfying.
Third one's in limbo hell.
Yes. Yeah. So Michael was caught after part 1, and he was going to be put in the put to death by lethal injection. It has these kids in it, and when they're going to put him to death, he sees one of the girls and gets fascinated. That happens to be the new Loomis in this, his daughter. They fuck up the injection. He gets out. And the sheriff, not Brackett, but the guy who was in part 2 is the main sheriff in this. I can't remember his name. It was the blonde guy who looked like Dauber from Coach.
Yeah.
all in all, like, it was going to be interesting. And at the end of the movie, he gets away and he writes on the wall, "This town is dead." And he had set up the characters. And there's an after credit scene where the Dr. Rogers is being talked to by someone in shadows. And he's like, "I told you he is pure evil." It's Gary Oldman playing Dr. Loomis, which I was like, I'm in. Like, Gary Oldman playing Dr. Loomis? Fuck yeah. Like, 100% in. And I guess parts of that script ended up in Halloween 2018, and I think that was enough to bring Carpenter in, because it was just different enough.
Yeah.
So 2018 finally makes its rounds in October 19th, 2018, which, funny enough, I started my channel the day after it came out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I went and saw it and my mom had just passed. So I was like, you know what? I've been watching all these horror YouTubers kind of to deal with whatever bad thoughts I had after my mom. But I was like, you know, maybe I'll do this, and, you know, some schmuck will, you know, be going through something and watch my channel and kind of laugh about, you know, dumb horror.
Yeah.
So I started it right after it. It's one of the worst videos I've ever done because I just ramble on because I'm reading off notes. And it's a good learning lesson. I tell you, like, you make your first bad video and you start watching it back, you're like, oh, fuck. How could I have done that different? And to any new YouTubers out there or people thinking about it, you're going to fail. You're going to do horribly at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You just figure it out. And for God's sake, don't worry about who's subscribing. Do what makes you happy. Because if you're happy and you're showing enthusiasm doing it, people will gravitate to it. And like I said, like Carlito and I, like, if we get 60 people viewing, it's a good show. But we like getting together, drinking, and just fucking around, talking about movies and bitching about it. So Halloween 2018 was the first movie I ever reviewed on this channel, and I did a horrible job. I even went and saw it in IMAX a month later and did another episode talking about if I noticed anything in IMAX. So that was a creepy door sound.
Yeah.
Where's
my
that come from?
I went out. I let her in because she was meowing out there.
So this movie's production budget was $5 million less than the Rob Zombie 2.
That's amazing.
So $10 million. Opening weekend, $76 million, which is fucking huge.
That blew me away when I saw that opening weekend.
Worldwide, $255 million, which for a horror movie done on this budget, I figured if it did 100 million worldwide, it would have been. So immediately you knew there was a sequel coming.
Mm-hmm.
You could have ended this after the end of this movie without having a sequel. People, I think, would have been okay.
I feel like this is a recurring theme with a lot of horror franchises.
So James Jude Courtney, probably my second favorite shape. He worked with Nick Castle learning how to kind of glide, but it had the brutality of Tyler Mane.
Yes.
And weirdly, I had that moment where, like, after the movie, I was like, you know, I had some quibbles, but James Jude Courtney will never come up in this discussion. He added me on Twitter. I was like, oh, fuck. It's like, notice me, senpai. But this was a great back to basics. Like, Laurie basically became Sarah Connor from Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense that she'd be fucking crazed after this. Every relationship in her life has been destroyed because of her fear. She has a granddaughter and a daughter that she's not with. You have these weird serial true crime podcasters coming in. But I will say, I think they were my missed opportunity in this.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So I think if they had kept the dude alive, who was the doubter of Laurie about the boogeyman, He could have been the new Loomis.
Oh yeah, yep, I can see that.
Yeah.
I felt that was a missed opportunity, but I felt the performances across the board were pretty good. Annie Matichak, I had a lot of high hopes for. We will get into that later. Ray was a fucking idiot.
What?
Like the whole thing. Oh, I got peanut butter on my penis. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Hawkins, I really liked. That actor I thought was actually underutilized in this. I hated the doctor.
Oh yeah.
That was my main quibble in my review of like this dude was unnecessary as new Loomis. But there was just so much done right in this, and again, like the Myers mask a little bit aged to kind of go with him, and Christopher Nelson, the attention and the effects he did to former damage done in the first movie between the knitting needle in the neck, and then the frosted eye from where he got the hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Little attention to detail like that made me love this movie. Great throwdown at the end. Like it had everything you could want. And I left completely satisfied with like minor fucking quibbles. And also John Carpenter with his son and his godson, who is the son of the main player from the Kinks.
Oh.
Daniel Davies is Ray Davies' son. So for them, like the Shape Hunting Allison is probably my favorite track off that soundtrack.
I listened to that score for like 2 years after that movie came out. Nonstop.
And it was just so cool to see John Carpenter come back and fully supporting something and to come out and that soundtrack and kind of reinvent some stuff. I know we had the Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor version of it, which was good.
It was good, but I mean,
like Carpenter reinvigorated
what he did with Halloween 2018 was just insane. So good.
I still haven't seen Carpenter live.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Summer live series. What storyline would you like to see for the next Halloween?
So obviously we're getting a reboot.
Oh yeah.
You mean a requel?
So I told Ken, like, I literally waited till after the credits to see if someone was going to sit up in the morgue at the end of this last movie. We'll get there.
Yeah, almost there.
So given that the Accods have a clause that say Michael Myers can never die, I feel like we're going to pick up again at the end of part 1, or unless it's going to be a complete fucking reboot, modernized of part 1. Could happen. And then you can milk another 10 to 15 years out of it, which probably is going to be the thing. There's too much money at play. Even this one made enough money, even though I still think putting it out on Peacock the day after was a bad idea.
I don't know. I wish I would have.
Yeah, it was a bad idea.
But 2018, I think, was a good move in the right direction. Julian is my favorite fucking character from this. The little kid who was being babysat.
That kid's amazing.
I need to go back and rewatch that one.
But also, like, I was sad that Vicky died.
Yeah, I love the chemistry of the two of them together.
I would have liked actually Allison to have died and her to live, and her being the survivor's grief. But it is what it is. But I thought Vicky was a wasted character because we grew to like her. Maybe that was the point of it, that you were going to get mad because of kind of like Kirby in Scream 4.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
and weirdly, I never liked Hayden Panettiere in a lot of stuff, and yet her in that role, I loved.
I liked her in 3 things: Heroes.
And the other 2 were great.
You were gonna say
Football movie with Denzel when she was like a little kid, and then
Man on Fire.
No.
Oh, Remember the Titans.
The Titans. Yeah, that was great. Also, Hans Zimmer score, great. And then, Scream 4. There you go.
So, the end of this is Michael burning. We find out the house is a trap. After one of the dumbest discussions about banh mi sandwiches. But I will say the cool thing was the one cop in the car was actually someone who he was actually a real cop who dealt with crisis negotiations. He was on set as an advisor, and they put the special effects guy, Christopher Nelson, who's the one who's like, I got a home baked brownie.
Wait a minute. Which one are we on?
On Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
The one cop got his head turned into a lantern, and the other one was like just completely.
I've seen Halloween Kills,
yeah. The lantern part's probably my least favorite part of the movie.
Oh, wait, no, I did. Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Just imagine like Michael on his way to kill people, and it's just like, oh no, wait a minute, I got the skull. I'm gonna just do some art first here. There we go.
No.
No.
And Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky are the 2 most hated. Seed of Chucky in particular is hello animation.
Yeah.
So there is a scene where like people were projecting at the end. They're like, Allison's going to end up becoming the serial killer. She's holding a knife at the end. No, that was an allusion to the end of Laurie in the original dropping the fucking knife every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we go right into Halloween Kills. And it kind of goes off the rails pretty early. There is a thesis statement behind this series, though.
Yeah.
Which we will get into. Carlito's not going to agree with us, but I already know that going into it. So
what?
Yeah. What?
I don't think it needs to be a typical slasher, but I think giving him a love interest, we've seen that with Natural Born Killers, even like.
I don't think giving him a lover. I think giving someone that's obsessed with him and loves him, but he doesn't show that in return would be.
I might be down for that.
But yeah,
I could see that. That actually might work.
So if Corey was a woman,
Corey was a woman.
If Busta Rhymes was a woman,
it'd be Cardi
I want to
B.
see the next storyline pick up right after Resurrection, like 10 years after. It's like old age fat Busta Rhymes going after Mike
with this Padawan learner.
We're going back.
It's gonna be a Lil Wayne.
Direct to video once again.
All I'm thinking about is just the slaughter of all the Padawan. Oh my god, dude. All the kid Jedis.
So Halloween Kills felt like a reaction to everybody in Halloween 2018. It was like, there's not enough kills.
See, I feel like so many people have never watched Halloween when they complain about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Halloween 1 had very little kill. It had no blood, no nudity. Like it was very
9 minutes and 48 seconds he was in the movie.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it in the first movie, yeah.
It feels like more than
so
that.
You'll see his face in the background, but him fully was only 9 minutes.
Yeah, he's not really there, but
it's like Jaws. Like
I love it, dude. It's a classic, man.
There but off camera. Just and it's creepy that way.
Yeah.
So Halloween Kills had one of the most brutal kills right at the beginning. Well, several brutal kills, but the firemen going ham on them.
Oh, the fireman! Oh, crap!
Which they gave it away in the trailer, which pissed me off because
they gave way too much away in that trailer.
Yeah,
do that all the time though. That's why I try to avoid trailers.
And then there were her neighbors where they were like, halogen lamp that stabbed her in the throat, and then like she's against the thing, and he's just grabbing knife after knife. He's like, Ginsu, Ginsu, Ginsu. So you're watching, and you're like, holy fuck, we're right with this right at the beginning. And then we start going into the town stuff, and I'm like, okay, like we're gonna slow it down and kind of get a vibe. And Anthony Michael Hall playing a older Tommy. Okay, like
Tommy,
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why he'd be emotionally damaged after what happened, and hanging with Lindsay, the nurse, Lonnie, his bully.
Oh,
which
God,
that dude playing Lonnie was awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was great. The little bitch kid who was dating Allison that finds Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was okay, especially I was happy Hawkins was alive because now the flashback scene, that mask was on fucking point.
Oh, that was so cool. That looked like it was straight from 78.
Yeah, like they for some reason managed to get that so right. And then how Hawkins fucked up. And they give a little bit of like, oh yeah, my mom used to make me hang out with that kid. All I do is hang out, like watch out his window. There was some really nice points with that, and especially Lonnie getting bullied by basically the O'Doyles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I went there. Like, O'Doyle rules.
O'Doyle, I have a feeling your whole family's going down.
That whole just how that stayed with him his whole life, how like the horror never left him with his encounter.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was more of that almost. Because that was better. Even the Loomis impersonator they had was solid.
That was pretty solid.
And then it feels like it goes downhill from there. And this was another divisive movie. Real Michael died in the asylum.
It's a murder robot. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we don't talk about divisive movies here.
At times I felt like this was a reaction to Halloween 2018, where it was like, there's not enough murders. And it was like, okay, fuck you. And it was like, there's not enough character moments.
Yeah.
And then the third one, we gave you character moments. You're like, oh, fucking.
Just go make a fan film, you idiots.
Like, it's the weird thing of like, no matter what you do, there's going to be a sector that bitches about it.
Yep.
And I should have learned that from the Star Wars pre-trilogy, the last one, because they're like, well, it needs to be more like Star Wars. They put out whatever the fuck the first one was called. I can't remember now. But then Last Jedi came out, which was away from the norm completely, and they're like, well, fuck Last Jedi. And then they put Rise of Skywalker, like, well, this is fucking lame too. So, like, you're never going to be happy. And I feel like this was reaction where everybody's like, they did Halloween Kills. They're like, well, this isn't my Michael. No, I don't like this. So then David Gordon Green does this whole character piece in the third one, which I compared to Last Jedi immediately of like,
David Gordon Green did this one too?
Yeah, he did all three.
He did the whole trilogy.
Wow. Epic fail on the landing there, buddy. But anyway.
So I appreciate people who are going to take a chance.
No, I appreciate that too, but if the movie sucks, the movie sucks. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to try and change your mind in a few minutes.
Good luck, Dan. You got a huge hill to climb.
So,
but if anybody, I believe
in this movie, they start talking about how tragedy can affect a town, and you start seeing groupthink happening. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. You'll fucking hear that repeatedly in this movie. Even like mob mentality going after the wrong fucking person.
Yep.
If you didn't like Cameron in the first movie, You're gonna love his death.
Holy shit, that poor kid.
Man, I will also say my two favorite characters, Little John and Big John. Michael McDonald from Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
I thought they were interesting, like, and especially how like Michael kills them and puts them in a reverse version of the portrait they have of themselves upstairs. And I think that's also one of the things I like about Michael. He's playful. He'll fuck around and like just set shit up just for fun. Kind of like Vicky, where he had her under the ghost sheet.
Oh yeah.
And he did all those tricks with like, here lies Judith, but he had Annie's body under it, and he had Bob swinging down. He always likes setting a scene. And this one, it was a little bit like that. The whole thing with the mask and the mob, and how he transcends by the more he kills. So he's more of almost a mythological being at this point, which I get it.
Yeah.
And we kind of see a bit of that in the third one, which we'll get to. This had a pretty poignant ending of Karen goes up there and she's looking out the window, and Michael, after destroying the entire mob that was beating the fuck out of him, goes up there and sees her up there, and he kills her. So where Kara Strode is no longer, and then the phone rings and he picks it up, and it's Lori.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie. And then
perfect.
we go to the next movie. It's a 4-year jump. Michael has disappeared. There's still crime going on. They're trying to figure out what's him, what isn't. There's suicides. The town is not in good shape. Lori is trying to pick up the pieces. She's embraced Halloween again, and she's writing a novel, basically her memoirs.
Just a FYI, Michael is 65 at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has taken custody of Allison. And so here we go into the thesis statement of this series. Tragedy and how it affects a town. So the town is just looking for things wrong at this point. This guy, Corey Cunningham, is babysitting a year later this Richie kid. I don't know, I forget the kid's name. All I remember is like he was the most annoying kid since the Babadook.
Yeah.
They're watching John Carpenter's The Thing. And the kid starts playing games, going up the stairs and hiding, and he locks Corey in a closet. Corey's kicking it. The kid's mocking him. Corey kicks the door open. Just as the parents are walking in, you see the kid fly down the stairs.
Splat.
And splat.
I gotta say that opening,
I was satisfied.
That was the high and best point of the whole movie right there.
I literally, my friend Marcy started laughing out loud during it. And she's like, "Little fucker got it."
Of course,
There was 5 of us in the theater for a 7:00 showing.
My second thought was like, I can't believe they built a door that close right to the point of the stairway where it just like knocked someone off. That's funny.
There was like 9 flights of stairs in that fucking house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So Corey's now become basically persona non grata in town, and they've projected on him of being the killer. And again, 4 years, we go into Allison and her grandmother. They show early there's a microwave that doesn't work right and blows up food constantly. Allison's way better adjusted than you figured she would be after all that. But maybe that's just me. Laurie is kind of taking pity on this kid Corey after he gets bullied by a bunch of band kids.
Yeah,
The toughest band kids in town.
one time at band camp,
Yeah,
beat
like
the shit out of a kid.
we got a band competition going on. I was like, really? This is the kids he's gonna let pick on him? All right.
Yeah.
Like,
Band has got
whatever.
rough since I left high school. Holy shit.
Yeah, 100%. Like and I get like he's got to watch himself of anything he does. So I imagine there'd be a little bit of like hesitancy of like anything in public he does. But yeah, like the one kid's got drumsticks. And his mom is basically like Carrie's mom from the Carrie movie a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, or Eddie from It. Little overprotective.
I don't even know where to start with this movie.
Laurie gives him a knife. Like, are you the freak or are you the whatever? After he breaks the chocolate milk in his hand and cuts it open. Like, there's some dumb shit in this movie. But he pops their tires and goes to the hospital and immediately like has a meet cute with Allison and was like, she's like, oh, I like you. And pull that glass out of your hand. And she's got drama at work and like her coworker's fucking the boss and got a position. Like it's a little everywhere. Corey gets roughed up by these fucking kids again after doing like a Pulp Fiction dance with her at the party, and the mother of the kid who's got ejected off the top of the stairs is there and saying, how dare you be out in public. Again, rough sledding at the beginning. Like they have to get this stuff ready. He gets thrown off by the band kids off the top of the fucking overpass, and Michael pulls him into the sewer. We got the porno bots again.
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So he gets pulled in there, and then Michael like grabs his neck, and they have like a meet cute of their psychotic impulses. And the next thing I know, he kills a bum. And I start thinking of At Pupil at a certain point, especially after the whole thing with Allison's ex-boyfriend, the cop. Where I was like, oh, Michael's Ian McKellen, and he's the other kid from Brad Renfro.
Brad Renfro, yeah.
And listen, there's some weird shit that goes on with this. And then like people start making memes of Michael on the back of the bike with Corey.
I won't lie. I don't hate the movie, but the memes have been amazing.
The memes have been great.
I'm having a great time with the memes.
Dude, share some with me. I have not seen these. I gotta see them. This is hilarious.
There's like people start fucking around with it. And I will say, like, I turned to my friend during it and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck we're watching at this point. Like, especially when he starts fucking around with Laurie doing the whole Michael thing behind the hedges.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, he's got the eyes, like the soulless eyes. And they kind of go into it. And I think it plays into what they introduced in the second one, where like Michael needs to kill to be powerful. And as he's killing, he's kind of, but when the kid starts like tossing him around, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I did have some of that, but by the end, like I had the whole thesis down kind of the tragedy of the town and like how tragedy made the town act like it is. And basically, I think that's what David Gordon Green was trying to. The town is actually the main character of this trilogy and not Michael and not Laurie. Is it the right way to do it? Not mine to say, but I kind of got what he was trying to express.
Mm-hmm.
I could see why people don't like it. I could see why people do kind of understand it. I can see why Carlito just went blank.
He's like, I'm checking out. I'm gonna go find those memes.
Sorry, guys, I'm looking for memes.
Yeah.
The weird thing was like, show me how you kill him. Show me how you kill him, Mike.
Dude.
And then he starts beating Michael up to take his mask.
Yeah.
So I'm at the end of the movie. I really thought there was gonna be an after credit scene where like, so Corey, to try and set it up that Allison will hate him, goes to assault Lori wearing the Michael mask after she's making a call to the cops that she's going to kill herself. Which honestly, for a minute, I was like, well, fuck, that's interesting. That's a different take. Like, she's finally giving up. And she's like, yeah, I should think I'm going to fucking kill myself.
I
so
love
right before Allison walks in, he stabs himself in the throat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like gurgling, and then Michael comes and he's just like, you little bitch, and fucking broke his neck. But I literally thought, like, at the end credits, after the credits, all of a sudden Corey's body was going to rise up. And I was like, oh, well, there we go. CC to MM. And, like, bloody fight between him and Lori, between Michael and Lori at the end, where, you know, she put knives into his hands and he ripped the knife out of his hand and started choking her, and then she started getting imparted his craziness, and there is an alternate deleted ending that is fucking horrible. But Allison comes in and like all of a sudden like UFC's his arm and fucking breaks it. I did like they slit his throat open. Like it was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
And you know, my friend was, for some reason, was like, that butcher block would just soak that blood up. And I'm like, why would you mention that? She's like, that's a $700 fucking butcher block top for it. I was like, I'm glad you know that. Thank you.
I thought similar thoughts. So props to your friend. We should be friends.
It was Marcy.
Of course.
But she was just like, how did she break his arm so easily? I was like,
dude, I'm telling you, she's all, what, maybe 110 pounds soaking wet. I don't know.
So my big thing was, I thought for sure they were going to set her up being the new final girl. She's a fucking moron in this movie.
Oh man, they really made her dumb in 4 years' time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I honestly was really disappointed because I really thought they were going to get rid of Lori and it was going to be Allison for the next trilogy or whatever.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
But man, just a little bit of dick, and she was like, what killer? No, Grandma, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he's on the ground in a jumper and Michael's mask is there beside him, but
yeah.
yeah. No, there's a lot of dumb in this. No doubt about it. I love the end of number 4. So I thought it was really cool to see that touched upon again here with Corey.
So the alternate ending of this was actually they incinerate him. And Allison goes over to Lori's house because she hadn't seen Lori. And Lori opens the door and starts choking her out. And she tells her to get away or else she's going to kill her. And that was going to be the end of the movie.
That's pretty fucking dumb. Which, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what was more dumb. The fact that or that I found out the machine they put him in was called a muffin monster.
Huh?
That grinder they put him in is actually called a muffin monster.
A muffin monster.
Yeah. My friend Marcy told me that, and I said she was full of shit, and I looked it up on Google, and she was right.
Wow. Cutting boards.
Yeah. Like
machines. We know it all.
Marcy.
Monster.
She's quite
She works for waste management.
Oh, okay. So she's dealt with some Michael Myers in the past.
Some bodies that have been passed.
Yeah.
Also some corn during the holidays. So this isn't my worst movie. I felt there could have been improvements done.
Mm-hmm.
There was some opportunities left on the floor that maybe COVID kind of maybe changed, because I know there was like a year COVID downtime, and I don't hate it. I just think there was a missed opportunity here, but I'm curious to see what they do with the rest of it. And then I immediately started thinking, boy, I kind of curious what Evil Dead Rising is going to look like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the fact that he kind of transferred the evil to Corey made me think, was Michael always evil, or did someone transfer it to him when he was a kid?
And he tried to do it again to Lori.
Right?
That'd be a good.
I think there's a cool comic book prequel there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing I like about that concept in that. Is there possible Michael prequel? I like that.
Yeah.
So-
It's Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Busta.
He just goes back, "Wah, got you all in check." Again, I like that they took a chance. Like they tried
do
to break
too.
the formula.
I respect that, but
Yeah, I respect that. What I like about the trilogy too is that together, I mean, they're all very different films that do tell one big story, or each stands on its own really well as a standalone. Like you can watch Kills without 2018 and Ends, no problem. I think you can watch Ends without the other two, no problem. And I dig that. I like that.
So I had a friend who said that if you had taken part 3 and moved that to part 2, and then had Corey be the killer in part 3, it would have been a better run. And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, well, that would have been interesting, I guess, with, you know, if you got rid of that whole fireman part at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's honestly one of the best scenes from part 2. So,
Oh, that was crazy. So much blood. It was like Evil Dead 2013 all over again.
so I hated that movie when it first came out, and then I rewatched the unedited version.
Yeah.
My whole opinion changed, but I still I hate hipster Jesus. That dude, you couldn't fucking kill that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I like Carlito's like drinking. He's like, nope, can't.
Oh boy.
You gotta watch the Evil Dead series, because honestly, like the first movie, it's interesting. It's on the lowest budget. The second one, they're like, let's remake the first one, but with a bigger budget. And the third one, they're like, fuck it, we're in medieval times.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like my opinion is totally different than everyone else's in that franchise. Like I love the first one. I love that more serious tone.
So I hate the characters in it, but it was weird because when I watched the remake, I was like, I hate all these motherfuckers in this movie. And then somebody in group I was in was like, well, watch the first one again, and then you'll kind of learn that like they're kind of the same. I was like, oh shit, you're right. They're all kind of unlikable. But there is a great, in the 2013 requel, remake, whatever you want to call it, there is a sound when she rips her arm out from under that truck, when she loses her arm, where that Foley artist, and I've talked about Foley artists quite a bit because in Don't Breathe, when he gets that turkey baster shoved up him, that was one of the great moments. And then in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with the dildo up the guy's ass, two of the greatest sound sequences ever. That was the third. And Foley artist, oh. So the King Kong with Jeff Bridges was fucking awesome because Jessica.
Oh, I guess you're
Lange
looking at my
is-
poster, eh? Okay.
Jessica Lange is amazingly hot. One.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Jeff Bridges to be doing that kind of movie back then also was amazing. And I would also, on the subject of John Carpenter's Starman with Jeff Bridges,
Yeah.
underrated.
Good old Jeff Bridges. Yeah, no, Kong 77's a good flick. I adore 2005, but the 1933 is still
Number one, baby.
number one.
So everybody was kind of going that Corey's last name was Cunningham, and in Christine, there's a character named Cunningham.
Carpenter.
So,
Yeah.
Christine, if anybody hasn't seen it, it is a great movie. If you want to focus on a movie about obsession, I love that movie. It's probably one of the better Stephen King adaptations. If you want to see a movie that was directed by Stephen King, High on Cocaine, Maximum Overdrive. He is so jacked to the tits. Yes. Come on. Yeah.
You have the steelbook for that, Dan?
For what?
Maximum Overdrive?
No, they haven't put one out. Like it'd have to be the cocaine edition.
That would be fucking great.
So no, like literally on the on Shudder, they actually have the In Search of Darkness about the 80s movies, both the part 1 and 2. And they interview Stephen King about that, and he goes, "Oh yeah, like I thought I could make a movie because I was high on cocaine." He flat out says it.
I mean, there's probably been a lot of Hollywood movies made like that. So,
oh yeah.
Oh, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers '78 was awesome. I would also go with the 1985 or '86 Blob movie that had Mark Hamill in it, which is also pretty amazing.
I think it's been 30 years since I've seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That one with Donald Sutherland is awesome, and Leonard Nimoy is in it.
Oh, he is?
Yes, Leonard Nimoy is in it, and he's amazing in that movie. And apparently, my mom told me that she took me to in New York a signing with Leonard Nimoy there, and I started crying.
Aww.
When I was a kid because I said he was creepy. My sister got her Star Trek set signed though, so that was what was important.
Right. You probably thought it was Spock, didn't you?
I don't know. I was too young to even know what the fuck was going on.
You saw the rounded ears and just cracked. You're like, no.
I'm also the same kid that my sister told me that Billy D. Williams was my real dad, and I started crying when my mom came home, and I was like, "You didn't tell me Lando was my dad. You betrayed Han."
Oh man.
Yeah, I was an ignorant little kid. So we've gone through the series. It's had some ups, it's had some downs. Some will age better than others. I don't really want to rate it as a series because it's all over the place. Halloween Part 1 will always be my first. It'll always be the top of my list, probably.
So what's your favorite? Okay, so what's your favorite timeline? Now that you've seen them all.
Honestly, like I'd have to say the 2018 timeline of 2018. Yeah. Because I mean the other timeline gets to Busta Rhymes. So like what the fuck am I gonna do?
Well, yeah, no, I'd definitely end the other timeline at H2O. Resurrections is over.
But it takes you to Resurrection.
It's over there somewhere floating in space with Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
But there are parts of the Curse of Thorn one I like though as well.
Yeah.
It's just you have to end it Curse of Thorn, Curse of Michael Myers, and like
there's really no conclusion to it.
Well, of course H2O had a better end, but H2O wasn't the end.
Yeah. See, H2O was a perfect ending, and then
you have to end with Busta Rhymes shocking Michael and the jewels. Literally, jewels to the jewels. And that's where the problems come in, because there's always a good movie followed by something else.
Okay, well, Carlito, you don't like ends, so would you prefer the Busta Rhymes timeline?
You know, it's
which one has a worst ending?
It pains me to say, but I probably like the Busta Rhymes better just for the pure humor factor. But other than that,
it hurt to say that.
It did actually, because that's pretty low on the list.
Yeah.
So. Although I have to give it some credit because I've mostly forgot about 6. So, I mean, What? So Dan, that was your first one. What was your worst one? You didn't
Oh,
say
the Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie.
100%. That I mean, that's its own universe though. So I don't have to put that in with part one. It just exists.
That's a trailer park timeline.
You know what's funny?
It's literally the Florida timeline. It literally is.
You know what's hilarious? This whole time, I was not thinking about those two movies in my rankings. So you won, Dan.
It tells you a lot.
You won, Dan. The Rob Zombie Halloweens are at the bottom, and Ends is right above that. So,
but I think it's the fact that they have nothing to do with part one, which sets them apart and aside from everything else, because they literally have. Bobby, you got
good job, Bobby.
sure. Awesome.
Is Dr. Loomis the Steve?
The Steve.
Now, I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna tell you.
Dude,
here's your real husband.
I just want to watch a mashup
Who is the daddy?
of all Donald Pleasance quotes from Halloween movies. That's all I want to watch.
Yeah.
So Donald Pleasance, besides Escape from New York, and as oh god, what was his character in Bond? He was Blofeld.
Oh yeah, Blofeld.
I would say like Prince of Darkness might be his next of like weird shit movies where he's a priest. And that's another John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
It had Wong from Big Trouble in Little China and also Egg Chen.
Prince of Darkness is actually my third favorite Carpenter film.
Damn.
Yeah. I love
So
that
my
film.
Carpenter films are kind of all over the place. Like The Thing, probably actually because of the practical effects, is my number one.
Yeah.
And I think The End is underrated, even though I know a lot of people complain about it because it's open-ended and it's so glib.
Mm-hmm.
But Halloween also, The End is open-ended and glib. Prince of Darkness. So I think Mouth of Madness might be my number 3.
Yeah.
That one is really good. Escape from LA, probably near my bottom.
I'll never forget that surfing scene.
Oh,
That
Body Bags was
Body
good.
Bags is amazing. Yep.
Big Trouble in Little China, top 5 easily.
Yeah.
I can bounce that between They Live easily. Escape from New York also. I mean, Snake Plissken is the ultimate anti-hero, and Kojima has been pretty clear that he stole Snake Plissken for Snake from Metal Gear.
Yeah. It's clear as day.
But John Carpenter likes those games, so he didn't sue him.
Yeah.
He did sue the director who did oh god, what was that movie with the girl from Lost, where it was like a space prison movie. It was made by the guy who did The Fifth Element.
Lockout.
Yeah, he sued that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much an escape movie too.
I'm gonna have to watch Body Bags.
Body Bags was an interesting like anthology.
That's probably one of my favorite anthologies.
Huh.
On Shudder, they have the new VHS on there.
I haven't seen the new one yet. But
It
the
just
last
popped
the
up.
last one was really good.
Did you watch it, Dan?
No, not yet. It just popped up today that I saw it. I'm probably gonna watch the Joe Bob Briggs Halloween Hoedown tonight.
Oh yeah.
Joe Bob Briggs is he's an icon, like institution for horror fans.
Oh, I did like seeing Darcy in
Yes, Darcy the Male Girl
that was a
in
nice
there.
little cameo.
Yeah, it was like her whole 2 lines.
Yeah.
Darcy the Male Girl.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like
Diana
Saturday
Prince.
nights that they did what was it called again? TNT?
On TNT, it was Monster Vision.
Yeah, Monster, dude. That man.
They did the marathon of Friday the 13th, where like the body count countdown broke and everything, and like Joe Bob looked like he was like ready to die by the end of the night. So something we're a little bit over that we normally do, but I wanted to go into what's a horror movie that for people who might like this that you think people should give a view to?
Like the Halloween series as a whole, or
Just I think in general, like whether it be a slasher or something else.
I
like,
would start any like horror beginner off with Scream. I think that's a perfect starting film.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think a lot of non-horror fans like the Scream movies.
Yeah.
Really
There's a good amount of like tongue-in-cheek humor to it, which I think helps a little bit to deal with the gruesomeness. Because I mean, honestly, the beginning of Scream had probably one of the most gruesome fucking openings.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
brutal.
I have one that's way off the fucking cuff, but it's hysterical because it's so bad. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh.
Bill Moseley is Chop Top with his Sonny Bono wig scraping flesh that he's lighting with a lighter with a hanger and eating. You have the guy who was in Blue Velvet, the actor.
Drag Me to Hell, good film. Yeah.
Dennis Hopper. He's in a chainsaw fight with fucking Leatherface in it. It's so goddamn stupid, and I can't stop watching it. And I think that's what really got me back into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But if you're into Stranger Things, there is a movie called Summer of '84.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the team that made Turbo Kid. Great film.
Yep.
Yes, fucking great film, and it has one of the most horrific endings that will stay with you forever. And it's not visual. Ending. It's not visual. It's all in your emotions.
Yeah, psychological.
I couldn't believe it. That ending blew me away. I couldn't.
Dude.
You figure it's going one way, like the one way all those movies go, and then it just throws you on your head.
Oh, it's one of those crazy things because the guys who directed the movie found my review and commented on it. I was like, oh, shit.
Nice.
I was like, they searched their names. Fuck. I've had that before where I've posted some shit and some people found it. I was like, oh no. I also probably, if you want to watch a gory movie, if you are physically and mentally into it, Martyrs is a movie that will break you by the end physically and mentally because you'll never want to watch it again.
You want people to watch horror after that movie, right?
But it was an end that stuck with me because you don't really see like this body horror going on up until the end of it, and then when they explain what they're looking for at the end and how it ends, it was satisfying, yet I'll never watch it again.
I'd say out of the genres, body horror is probably my least favorite.
Body horror, yeah.
I just it's just not for me. I can stomach it. I
can't do what I can do, but I refuse to do is cannibalism. I don't like cannibalism films.
Oh.
And I don't like rape. Rape is a no-go.
No, I don't like that as a plot device.
Yeah. You can have rape in a movie without showing everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave are probably two of the ones I will never ever fucking watch again.
I think I Spit on Your Grave.
The Descent is a fucking, if you want to feel paranoia and just feeling everything coming down on you, there's a 4K version of that coming out too. I just saw that announced.
That's my number 3 horror film of all time.
Dude, when I saw that, it blew my mind.
I watched that twice in the theater. Just
Drag Me to Hell also, that is a great Sam Raimi movie, and that was him coming back to horror.
Yep. Been some really good ones over the last few years, like Tragedy of Girls.
Yeah, The Guest. I
The
think
Guest,
if you
incredible.
want synth, the John Carpenter synth vibe
Mm-hmm.
with something that kind of keeps you guessing, that's one. The Invitation was another one by Karen Kusama.
You're Next from the
You're
same
Next.
team who made The
Fucking
Guest.
Sharni Vincent as the final
Oh,
girl in that. She
isn't
is
she
my
amazing?
ultimate final girl.
Did you watch the new one with her for a couple years ago, Willow Creek or Willow Lane or
I
something?
didn't see that. There is another movie called The Loved Ones.
Okay, yep.
It's an Australian one where this girl gets pissed that this guy didn't ask her to prom, and then her dad kidnaps the guy and makes them have prom at her house. And his feet are nailed into the floor so he can't run away.
Wow.
Sounds kind of like Misery for teenagers.
A bit, yeah. Like, so there's all kinds of different weird horror out there that you can find. The supernatural stuff seems to be, I feel like It Follows kind of started a whole new trend.
I still got to watch Spinal, damn it.
Yep.
Smile was
Come out
interesting.
on VOD though.
The one that people are talking about and I feel is super divisive is X by Ty West and Pearl.
X was decent. I think it's pretty overrated, to be honest.
It is.
Visually, it's a gorgeous film, though.
It came out during the whole COVID break, so that kind of helped build up a little bit for it.
Yeah.
Summer of '84, though, for me was one that like I kept hearing about. And if you want just dumb fucking sci-fi horror, Psycho Gorman. If you liked Power Rangers and wanted a horror vibe to it,
Or if you don't like Power Rangers, but you just want to see like horror vibe Power Rangers.
So A24 horror, it's a love or hate thing. 100%. It's the Scream new one when they talk about elevated horror. Midsummer, good movie. It's Burning Man. Not Burning Man.
Wicker Man.
That Wicker Man.
Yeah.
The Witch, interesting, slow. The Northman, I thought was well directed.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow. It's real slow, and that's the bad thing about A24. The pacing is real slow.
Yeah.
I'll take Blumhouse horror over A24 horror every day. So. Just gonna throw that out.
Blumhouse is that teenager film that like from the 90s and stuff, right?
A little bit, yeah.
2000s, like the Ghost House. They're very similar to the Ghost House.
I'm very excited for Nosferatu by David Eggers.
But it's probably be super slow, but
it's super slow. But
if it looks like the Lighthouse, that'd be
the
nice.
Lighthouse was awesome.
Yeah,
that was interesting. When are we gonna get Jen and Marcy to discuss that? That'd be great.
Marcy will never come on, but Jen and Sydney are probably more likely.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
So the Lighthouse was super interesting, and if David Eggers can do something like that with Nosferatu, so for Nosferatu though, the one with Willem Dafoe playing Nosferatu, the one with Carrie Elwes, Shadow the Vampire.
There it is. Yep.
Honestly, to me, that was all I needed to see. That was fucking perfect front to back.
Perfect. Yeah,
it really is.
I mean, I could talk about horror movies for forever of just stuff people maybe have not seen.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Wrong Turn was actually pretty decent. That came out during the whole COVID thing, so like it was like direct to video, and it was a nice reboot. And again, Alan B. McElroy weirdly was back, who did Halloween 4. There are some other movies that like kind of, the foreign movies seems to be the ones that slip through the cracks most of all. But vampire movies, I think, have suffered the most in the last couple of years. There aren't a lot of great ones. To me, probably 30 Days a Night was the last great vampire movie.
So good.
30 Days a Night, yeah.
Josh Hartnett.
There's been a lot of great vampire movies outside of Hollywood, though.
At least interesting premise, because the premise was so simple and no one thought of it.
Right? Yeah.
Hello.
And just a great take on vampires too.
There was another. Daybreakers wasn't terrible.
Daybreakers was fun. A girl walks home alone
Yes,
at night.
100%. That was
That's a
good. The
masterpiece.
original Let the Right One In.
Yes. Even
Or
Let Me In was great too. I mean, if you don't want to watch something with subtitles, just watch Let Me In. Even that's a great film.
True Blood was kind of
True Blood was up and down. There was really good seasons and then really horrible seasons.
You guys disappeared for like 30 seconds.
Oh, we did? We thought you did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you popped away.
There hasn't been a great werewolf movie in a long time since Dog Soldiers, in my opinion. I'm not counting Wolf Cop.
I think it was like the first 3 or 4 seasons of True Blood I liked.
Yeah, I think I stopped watching True Blood once Sookie became a fairy. I was like, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
I've been in terror ever since what's his name? Max Landis said he was going to redo American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
I've been in terror since, because that's the last thing in the world I need is American Werewolf in London being redone.
Yeah,
American Werewolf in Paris was bad enough.
Have you seen that one where this lady like rents a house or something? I can't remember. Like is house sitting or something.
The Night House?
It's like I don't know. Really.
The Rental?
What?
The Rental? With the son?
I'll try to Google it and see.
I will tell anybody, High Tension, if you want to watch a fucked up movie.
Oh, High Tension.
Oof.
Yep. Actually, talk about house rentals. House Guest was good on Shudder.
Oh yeah, that was okay.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching the 101 Scariest Movie Moments on Shudder.
Mm-hmm. It's on my list. I got a big list on Shudder.
Yeah. And then they just put that one called They. That's about the non-binary.
Yes. Yep.
I've been kind of scared to watch it because I don't know representation-wise how good it's going to be and how many problems it's going to cause in the aftermarket of it. Because you can either do it right or you can do it bad and piss a lot of people off.
Yep, absolutely.
The new Hellraiser, I still haven't sat down and watched. I
enjoyed it. It was good.
I heard it was just a little overly long.
It's too long. It's definitely too long. There's a lot of fat on it that could get trimmed, but Jamie Clayton is fantastic.
Yes, and also fits more of the vision of Clive Barker, where he wanted basically the Hell Priest to be non-binary. They, could be female, could be male, and I did hear the part where it was, the female body, but with the male voice coming out in a booming. There's also a Clive Barker property I'm dying to get made, and that's Weave World.
Okay.
And how it tied into kind of the Hellraiser universe and Nightbreed. Nightbreed's another one that I think got slept on a little too hard.
Nightbreed, yeah. That's a good flick.
Just naming all this off, and Carlito's like,
yeah. I'm surprised that Tortured Souls never became a movie series with that toy line.
Yeah, I mean, shit, Rawhead Rex, I'm surprised didn't get remade. Although, you had a scene where he pissed in a priest's mouth to baptize him. So,
Ken, did you pick a movie yet? I can't remember. It's like, okay, pick one movie. 20 minutes later.
Sorry.
No, I just I'm trying.
No, I said Scream. I went with Scream.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I'm just trying to maintain.
I mean, you can actually go.
I guess I could have went with the Human Centipede, but
no.
I thought Scream was a little gentler on the stomach.
To be honest, you can honestly start with Scream 5 at this point. I feel, since it's a requel.
Yeah, no, that's very right. I mean, they could just start with the new one.
Good, I guess.
Especially now hearing the new one's going to have Hayden Panettiere back, and I'm kind of curious how that's
Kirby's
gonna
back.
work.
Well, Kirby has to come back if Sydney's
Sucks that Sydney's not going to be back, though.
I know.
I'm fine with that, actually.
Sure.
I kind of feel like Yeah.
Overstayed or welcome.
No.
Well, the problem was they took Dewey out of the equation, and then Sydney doesn't want to come back. So now you really just got Gale there.
So, like, part 4, I thought that Emma Roberts was one of the most unhinged villains.
Yeah, she was great being the shit of herself.
Yeah, like putting her head through glass and shit. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, that was my review. I was like, Emma Roberts deserves so much for, like, beating the shit out of herself, like, even flipping herself by the hair.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And then the other Culkin kid should never have been able to kill anybody because he looks so weak. So another series I would tell people you can find easily, Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Oh man, I just rewatched that again, and oh god, I love that film.
Oh,
so
Tom
much.
Matthews is awesome, and then Gulager, and of course Tom Matthews was in my favorite Friday the 13th Part 6, and also Womp Stomp's Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, why am I blanking out?
I can't remember it either.
Never Hike Alone.
There you go.
Which it's free on YouTube, so please go check out Never Hike Alone, the ghost cut with everything so far. The best probably fan film I've watched.
Oh, easily. Jason Lives was pretty good too. Actually, I got where's this Halloween Night? This was a good one.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
I think you could see this one's on YouTube for free. I got this physical copy of a guy on Facebook that bootlegs movies.
But
a lot of business now that Disney and stuff won't release on physical anymore.
So basically, now that Friday the 13th is supposed to move along with their stuff, I have a feeling they're going to start trying to shut down Womp Stomp.
Oh
yeah.
No.
But the fact they have Tom Matthews on this last one, I think they've just started filming most of it now.
Well, originally it was going to be 2, 3, and 4, right? And they just threw it all into 2 because I don't think they get the chance to make a number 3.
I mean, honestly, I would hire these guys to write the next movie.
Why wouldn't you? It's kind of a no-brainer.
Because it makes too much sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And also,
Rob Zombie, what's he up to?
Oh my god! All right, we're gonna have Jason get raped as a kid at the camp.
Oh, Carlito checked out again.
And it's gonna be Jimmy Buffett playing his dad.
You gotta have Sherry Moon in there.
Oh yeah, she's gotta be the mother.
Oh, that's right.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Voorhees. It's just gonna be her playing the head.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
It's gonna be a reboot. So there was a rumor for a while that Kevin Bacon being the new Freddy.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately, actually.
I think I'd be okay with that because after Stir of Echoes,
It might work.
I'd be okay with that, but they gotta work quick because he's nearing on 60 now.
yeah.
Like he's getting up to almost like Robert Englund's age. So
So like I'm a huge Dune fan, and I have one of the sandworms from Dune tattooed on my arm.
nice.
I'm in a meeting with my store manager, and he looked at it. He goes, "Man, you a huge fan of Tremors?" I was like, "Why?" He's like, "We got one of the graboids on your arm." I was like,
Oh my God.
"No, I don't." He's like, and I found out he's like the biggest Tremors fan. I was like, "Wait, people love Tremors?"
There's a little cold calling for
That
that.
didn't even register to me that people love Tremors.
The first one's not that bad. I mean,
I got the whole series behind me, buddy.
I didn't know there were 7 of them.
Yeah. And I'm
I
really
think Halloween
the
seems
TV
pretty
show never kicked off too. That would
I
have been
think I was
great.
more of a Critters fan.
Oh, yeah, my brother loved Critters for sure.
Critters was terrible, but like I just remember like as a kid, I was like, oh, it's like the anti-Gremlins.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, we are like almost 1 a.m. So
Hey,
almost 3
Hours
hours.
chat ended 40 minutes.
Good Lord.
This is normal.
You named a whole fucking
Yeah.
library here. Come on, give me one pick.
I know, I'm waiting.
Phantasm.
Good one. I just bought the trilogy box set. I didn't get the one with the sphere with it, but
Oh man, I wanted that. They were sold out when I tried to pre-order it though.
part 2 is probably my favorite, but part 1 is damn solid.
Part 1's my favorite, and it's my favorite just for the same reasons I love Evil Dead and Halloween. That zero budget, but what he pulled off with it.
Dude,
Well, Reggie is such a scumbag ice cream man in part 2.
Oh man, I love Reggie.
So the actor that played the tall man grabbed my friend's ass at one of the horror conventions.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Angus Scrim.
Really?
So she was telling me about it. I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah. I was like, did he scream boy when he did it? I was like, she's like, no.
boy.
This like in the 90s or something? What the hell?
No, this is like 2000, 2001.
Oh,
We were
I
working
guess-
at Barnes and Noble, and she told me that. I was like, wait, the tall man.
The tall man.
I had like, well, no, you need to break it down like moment by moment with me how this led to this. And she's like, he sexually harassed me. I was like, well, no. What, like, how did it get to this?
Yeah.
Did he have to like reach down? Because he's a pretty tall dude.
Yes,
He's
she's
actually.
like 5'5".
I don't think he's as tall as the movies depict, though. I think
It's like 6'1".
Maybe not, but he's still like
Yeah.
pretty tall.
yeah, he's a tall dude.
He's just creepy fucking looking. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Creepy.
he's so good in that. I had a great talk with Don Coscarelli once about Phantasm and
Oh no
Bubba
shit.
Bubba Hotep, which I absolutely adore.
so I have Bubba Hotep on DVD, but weirdly,
God.
I don't think that one's gotten upgraded in a while to a new format.
Oh, Scream Factory did a Blu-ray.
Did they?
Yep.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yippers. Oh, I'm sure the 4K will come out soon now.
So I'm sure like we're in that level of like Last Starfighter is going to get talked about once again to be remade,
Yeah.
because that movie every 10 years, it's always in the, hey, we should remake this. And then it never gets remade. Because I'm surprised because like there's a couple like J.J. Abrams that seems like it'd be like way in his wheelhouse to be like, wait, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like it'd be the type of movie he would remake and be like all over.
I really wish he would just step away from franchises and work on his own shit again. Because like
kind of there too.
Super 8 was fantastic, and I'm so done with seeing him in like Star Trek and Star Wars universes. Like just,
So
I'm glad they're making a direct sequel to Cloverfield. That excites me.
Did you love Super 8 because of the cast or because of the story? Because I thought the cast overwrote the story quite a bit.
The
Those
cast?
kids were
Oh
pretty
yeah,
amazing.
no, the cast is incredible. I mean, you get a good cast and they can carry anything. And those kids and even the parents, they were all fantastic in that. But I really loved it because it took me back to those 80s Spielberg films that I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
It's like a really great dose of nostalgia.
By the way, I'm digging the legendary hat. It's awesome.
Thanks, sir.
Legendary pictures, I assume.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love Legendary.
So I will ask, like, what's a movie everybody's looking forward to? Because we're all movie fans here.
Horror or just
in
anything?
general.
Well, I guess the next one up would be Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, that's up
I
there.
think that's, yeah.
Because after Black Adam, I don't think there's much coming out for the next month.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that Pray for the Devil at the end of the month. That looks pretty sweet.
I didn't see anything for that.
No, that looks
Yeah.
pretty cool. I'm kind of done with exorcism films, but this is a cool looking take on it.
I mean, honestly, Exorcism of Emily Rose was probably one of the best movies. I don't think people talk about enough.
Exorcism films, all that stuff I get obsessed with. So
Yeah. Well, no, check out the trailer for Pray for the Devil. You'll probably dig it. Yeah.
Carlito, what's a movie you're looking forward to?
I mean, definitely Wakanda Forever, which I didn't think. I wasn't sure at first, but so that and
Got you with the wings on the feet, didn't they? Those ankle wings.
Oh man, Neymar looks
yeah.
so perfect. He looks so perfect.
Do anything for me? Shit, I guess really that's pretty much it right now. I can't think of.
Man, Avatar: Way of Water.
I will see Smile when that comes out on VOD. So
Avatar: Way of Water. It's gonna be my life from now on.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see that.
I literally, it's 10 years too late.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer probably is the movie I'm most looking forward to, just to see the way the story. And I'm a huge Cillian Murphy fan.
That's not till like next year, right?
Next summer, I think.
I don't know. I just know I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
I mean, it's Nolan, and again, Cillian Murphy. Like, if anybody hasn't seen Red Eye, which I think is his most underrated film of watching someone play a sociopath. Good Wes Craven movie, by the way.
Oh,
with Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
Really good movie.
Don't get to catch it on cable that much or even streaming, but it's very good. And like Cillian Murphy just can be such the scary motherfucker.
Oh, my wife can't watch movies with him. His eyes creep.
Really?
He's got the Michael Myers eyes. It's pure evil.
You know, I kind of agree with her a little bit.
Like he's
really do.
I mean, he just
so I love that he's been in 2 movies that can't be put in 4K.
Mm-hmm.
28 days later and 28 weeks later, we're all filmed on handy cams. There's no 4K source. So if you catch them watching on your 4K TV, they look like absolute shit.
Really?
So they will not put them out. Blu-ray is the highest you'll go, and your 4K TV will still make it look like shit.
I'd still just love like Scream or someone to grab it to do a collector's edition Blu-ray though. Like,
oh yeah,
they deserve a special edition.
28 Weeks Later is one of those movies I think might be underrated because Cillian Murphy's not in it, but Rose Byrne's in it.
Robert Carlyle.
Who,
Jeremy Renner before anyone knew who he was. Yeah.
Jeremy Renner was in that?
Yeah. It was such a glib ending too. Like it did not have a happy ending. And 28 Days Later is another one where like I didn't know what the fuck it was, and I was like, wait, is this an infection movie or is this a zombie movie?
Very well done.
But just the way the city was. There's another movie that came out during the time that I think gets slept on a little too much, and that was that King Arthur movie with Clive Owen.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was better than it was kind of rated as. And Clive Owen was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Shoot 'Em Up.
Yeah. Shoot 'Em Up. A guy killing someone with a carrot. I'll watch that all day of the week.
Oh, I mean, he's Bugs Bunny and Paul Giamatti's Elmer Fudd. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, I could watch that scene where they're driving all night.
I could watch the scene where he delivers a baby and shoots the umbilical cord with the gun.
It's one way to do it.
Awesome.
Like there's some great movies out there. You guys just got to look for it. And like, if you follow us on Instagram, like you'll see some shit. You'll see us talking about some stuff. Ken and I will probably be posting about physical media we're about to buy and like regretting that we're paying for it again.
Ken, you need to help improve my physical media habit, man. I need to buy more.
Oh, you got like what a nice looking Hot Toys collection or something behind you there.
I have one hot toy. I'm getting back into it. So.
Oh,
he's a Deathstroke guy.
I just had this one arrive today.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of the.
I'm still on the wait list for Ghostface, so it's pissing me off.
I had a bunch of the Kotobukiya ones, the gender swapped ones.
Nice. Yeah, those are cool.
The Ash Evil Dead one's the one I got on back order right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am about 2 seconds away from pulling the trigger on a pre-order for Black Adam. But they have 2 different versions of it, and I'm kind of torn on as to which one I want.
Oh, yeah?
So
I will still swear, like, I never thought I would walk out liking the JSA out of that movie.
JSA was awesome in that.
Yeah, like, awesome. I just didn't think they were going to be in it much.
Because it's brand new, but holy shit. Like, I mean, it's not an amazing film. But
No, it's entertaining as fuck,
it's
though.
fun as hell. Like I'll definitely rewatch that. It's fun as hell.
What I tell people is it didn't try to be something it wasn't,
Yeah.
and it kept it simple, and
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. That's all I
Yeah.
say, really.
And that's
But
a
no,
Stinger
like Pierce
scene?
Brosnan was a
Oh, Pierce
standout.
Brosnan
Like
is so good.
Adam Smasher was good humor, and
Yep.
Cyclone I really liked, even though she really didn't have a whole lot to do.
Nope.
Hawkman was awesome.
Hawkman was really cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a
Dude,
good
Hawkman-
flick.
It was
That guy-
it was just
that
a
guy
fun
did-
movie.
Yeah.
And I hate to
Score-
use this term. It was a
score was pretty
popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a popcorn movie for sure.
Yeah, like I think I definitely said like it's better than Thor Love and Thunder, but like it's different vibes.
Oh yeah,
The-
it's different vibes.
So it suffers from typical DC dark CGI, which I hate. But other than that, I enjoyed it. So.
The colors were muted at the beginning, and then as the movie went on, they actually got brighter, which I didn't fucking understand. But it was like someone else goes, "Hey, there's no more Snyder. Like you can put color."
I think they were
Yeah.
getting brighter because he was becoming more of a hero as it went on.
Yeah, I kind of thought
that
that
could
too,
be.
but-
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was just a play.
And they
I
got
was just
darker.
happy to. I was just happy in the after credit scene to see a certain person come back.
Me too. I had
I-
the
10
I-
years.
kid beside me just scream and jump out of his chair, and I was like,
I feel
that's
he
awesome.
got the shaft with everything that went on, and I don't think
Big time.
BVS should have ever happened before there was a part 2 of his movie. I think
Mhm.
there should have been 3 movies of each person before we got to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
I don't want to say they should have copied Marvel, but Marvel waited till at least after there was about 5 or 6 movies out between different characters before they went that way.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Maybe they're learning. I don't know what the DCEU is right now. Like it's a fucking huge jumbled mess.
I mean, you know what? I don't think the MCU really knows what it is right now either, though. It's a whole
well,
lot.
now
of
seeing
shit
the
at wall
recasting
and
the
shit.
Flash,
Yeah, I mean,
because the Flash
Dude,
was supposed to
well-
reset everything, but now Ezra Miller might get 26 years.
Well, but so it's going to happen after the first movie. So that's what I read anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fucking disaster. Like it's been poorly run from the beginning, and now it's just like, guys, where are we at? Like, what are we doing?
yeah.
They should have
And
just
like-
dropped it, but I mean, they kicked fucking Johnny Depp out right away, but I'm not going to touch that one. So
Yeah.
Well, I guess Aquaman probably is the next one out. I think.
Aquaman was. Is it March now? Did it get pushed to March? It was released like a week after Avatar, and I was like, "Well, that's stupid. Move that out of the way."
Yeah,
So I put on Instagram. I thought the newest Black Adam was the perfect counter programming in October because everything else was kind of horror or family oriented. So like this was the perfect movie to counter program and probably do well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I
maybe
hope it
after
does well.
Avatar.
I hope it does well.
Holy shit! Yeah, Aquaman is the next one, December 2023.
Oh, it got pushed a whole year because
Already.
originally it was opening up this December.
Well, they still have the Flash in June, so I guess technically that'll be the first one.
It's just gonna be Ezra
Oh,
Miller
wait,
in
no.
jail.
No, fucking Shazam's coming out a month or
Oh, that's right, Shazam.
Forgot about
Shazam.
that. Yeah.
the Flash. So Shazam,
Which-
Fury of God. So
There was a guy next to me in the theater, like who thought every joke in that trailer was the funniest.
for the
For
Shazam, one?
Shazam, like he was fucking knee slapping with the Fast and the Furious joke about it being family.
To Helen Mirren, who's in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah,
I think,
like,
I think only one of those jokes kind of made me sort of smirk, but
Yeah.
so Black Adam is running a 4.6 audience rating, which that's pretty good.
out of 5,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really good then.
that's really good. Yeah,
Um.
I mean, there's
So-
two things that are clear about Black Adam. One, it's better than the Batman. Two, it's better than the rest of it's better than 7 other DCEU movies.
It did 7.6 million yesterday.
But once you get past the top 3, none of them are really great. So
it was projected to do an opening weekend of 54 million, which respectable, I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it'll probably.
I hope it does. I hope it does better than that.
I also feel like too many people ruined that after credit scene.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The producer's really pissed off about that. Did you see that today?
I'm sorry, but like someone at work was like, "Hey, did you?" I was like, "Shut your fucking mouth because I'm going to see it tonight, so I don't want to hear a fucking thing." And he's like, "Well, you know who shows up?" I was like, "I'm gonna smack you if you keep talking."
Shut up.
Like it just. It's the horrible thing. Everybody wants to ruin everything for everyone, and I can't stand it. Like, I hate spoilers. I hate enough that the trailers give away way too fucking much.
Yeah.
And the trailer to this kind of gave away a little bit. Because there was a certain point during the movie where I thought the movie was over. And I was like, oh, they're just going to lock them up. Okay.
To be fair, The Rock actually kind of sort of gave away a lot, too. But...
He did. He gave. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I think maybe he thought he'd get sales or something this week.
I also think what happened at Comic-Con at San Diego really hung with him a lot, where he got booed because Henry Cavill wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sad thing is, he's been trying to get this done for years, and the previous Warner Brothers executives were not very enlightened. So.
15 years he's been working on this.
The Rock is very Schwarzenegger-like with some of his one-liners in this movie.
Yeah.
But it was endearing to me because I was like, oh man, this is what it would be like with Arnold Schwarzenegger being in this movie.
When he was going back and forth with Pierce Brosnan with the sarcasm line?
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
That was so funny.
So Pierce Brosnan, for anybody who like the Nolan Batmans, Pierce Brosnan is basically Alfred in this to a degree, with the kind of sarcasm and shitty remarks back and forth.
Yeah,
I liked him and Hawkman's relationship. They felt genuine, man.
They did. Yeah. They really did. Like they had passed together.
I wasn't sure. I like that actor, but I was like, I don't know if he can pull it. Man, he fucking pulled it off. So
I only knew him from Leverage, that TV series.
There was on something else I saw. It was a small bit role, but I was like, ooh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I always love seeing Amanda Waller show up. That's not really a spoiler, so
I love her as an actress, and I like that too. But at the same time,
she ties in with Halloween because she got murdered by Michael Myers in Halloween 2.
It feels tainted by Suicide Squad, so the first one. So,
but we had the lady from Peacemaker show up.
We did
at one point.
Yeah, she did.
Who is now James Gunn's wife?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, Peacemaker. I haven't seen the show. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the blonde who showed up when they turned the Black Adam over.
Oh, Peacemaker's so great. It's like one of my favorite DCU things. Yeah.
John Cena is pretty great.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, I really liked him in the Suicide Squad for sure.
He's even better in the Peacemaker series. Like they let him go like nuts in it.
Yeah, I just don't know if that show is for me. So
it very much is. It really is. Especially when Robert Patrick from Terminator 2 shows up as his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you just have to watch the opening credits, and you will know if it's for you or not.
Oh yeah, I've seen the opening credits, and not a fan, so probably not for me.
Oh well.
Well,
that's why I say that. I just didn't want to shit on the opening credits because I know a lot of people love them, so
Vigilante also is awesome.
Oh, Vigilante's hilarious. Oh man.
He's basically like McLovin except with a gun.
Yeah.
Doing
my Marvel characters dirty.
It is 3 hours in.
Yep.
Hey.
I told Ken, I was like, 2 hours. We made a promise. 2 hours will be done.
Yeah. It's 1 a.m. No biggie.
All of our info to get us on Twitter or whatever is in the information below. Thank you very much for everybody who actually watched and participated and catching us on the rerun.
Yep.
This is one of my favorite properties. So, like, honestly, to kind of do like a Reader's Digest version of it was hard for me. But thank you very much, Ken, for joining us.
Thanks for the invite, man. It's fun.
Oh, I appreciate it. Next week, we're doing our favorite horror movies open discussion. So even though that's what this became at the end.
Yeah, really.
That's kind of on brand for us. We always go off topic. But the drinking
I do the same thing with
leads
my
to
friends.
So thank you, everybody. And if we don't talk to you before then, have a happy Halloween. And remember, watch out for Michael! Shut him 6 times! 6 times!
And lots of bullets because you're going to have to shoot over.
Don't count the bullets. There might be 7. There could be 6. You don't know.
Hey, maybe he popped an extra one in after he ran out real quick.
Take care, everybody, and good night.
Night.